The change in the environment was too obvious. Even Taiju and the others noticed it. The three minotaurs stopped at almost the same time, their expressions becoming serious as they looked around. The wind had changed. The temperature was dropping rapidly. The sky above us was becoming darker and darker. A storm was coming, and judging by the atmosphere around us, it wasn't going to be a small one. Taiju looked at me with worry in his eyes. Mu, Master, you should go back first. It feels like the blizzard will arrive soon. Leave this place to us. We can handle it. I understood what they were worried about. They weren't afraid of the storm. They were afraid that I would be caught outside when it arrived. I shook my head. I know what you're thinking. But don't worry. I have confidence that we can return before the blizzard arrives. I looked toward the direction of the canyon. Time is running out. We can't waste any more. Let's go. Seeing that I had already made my decision, Taiju and the others didn't try to persuade me again. But the worry on their faces remained. I walked over and patted Xiaohei's head. Come on. The group immediately set off toward the canyon. This journey was much harder than I expected. The originally calm wind gradually became violent. The cold air screamed past my ears. The strong wind pushed against my body, slowing our speed considerably. Every step forward required more effort than before. Fortunately, we had just eaten. Everyone was full of energy. Otherwise, traveling through this kind of weather would have been impossible. After spending more time than expected, we finally reached our destination, the hidden cave deep inside the canyon, the place where countless coal deposits were buried. This time, it wasn't only Taiju and the others working. I picked up the enhanced iron pickaxe as well. Let's hurry. The three minotaurs nodded. Moo. The next moment, the sound of mining echoed through the cave. Clang, clang, clang. The four of us worked together. The speed was terrifying. Coal plus one, coal plus one, coal plus one. Pieces of coal continuously entered my backpack. I glanced at the numbers. My heart couldn't help but speed up. With the enhanced iron pickaxe and enough manpower, gathering resources had reached an entirely different level. In just a few minutes, we had already collected nearly 10 pieces of coal. If we maintained this speed, 2 more hours would be enough. Fortunately, I enhanced the iron pickaxe. I looked at the tool in my hand and couldn't help sighing. Taiju immediately agreed. That's right, Master. This pickaxe is amazing. With this thing, mining is much easier. The three minotaurs worked even harder after that. They knew very clearly. The faster they collected resources, the safer their master would be. Time passed quickly. Finally, only 2 hours remained before the blizzard arrived. I opened my backpack and checked the amount of coal. Then I froze. Coal. 421 pieces. I hadn't expected that we would collect this much. The enhancement system was truly terrifying. With enough workers, resource gathering efficiency could become absurd. Enough. These coal pieces are more than enough to survive this blizzard. I immediately put away the pickaxe. Taiju, stop. We're leaving. The three minotaurs stopped and looked over. Moo. Master, we're leaving already? I nodded. Yes. We have to get back before the blizzard arrives. If we stay any longer, we won't make it. Hearing this, the three minotaurs became serious. Moo. They immediately followed me and Xiaohei out of the cave. But the moment I stepped outside, Taiju, a sudden roar came from behind me. I turned around. Above the canyon wall, a huge rock was shaking violently. The strong wind had loosened it. Then, boom, the rock fell, straight toward us. Master, watch out, Taiju roared. For a moment, he looked like he was about to throw himself in front of me and block it with his own body. But fortunately, the rock didn't fall toward us. It smashed into the ground beside me. Bang! The impact shook the snow around us. Even so, Tieju's face was pale. He had truly been frightened. I looked at the broken rock and felt a chill in my heart. The cliffs here were already unstable. Under this kind of violent wind, anything could become a weapon. We need to hurry back. I didn't dare waste any more time. At that moment, Dazhuang and Erzwang also climbed out of the cave. But before they could ask what happened, they froze. Because the sky had completely changed. The dark clouds that had covered the sky before were now completely replaced by an endless layer of black. It felt like the entire sky was collapsing. The clouds were so low, it seemed like I could touch them if I reached out my hand. And the cold wind was much stronger than when we came. Snow and sand mixed together, hitting my face. I could barely open my eyes. I raised my arm to block the wind and forced myself to see the road ahead. Fortunately, the Minotaur's bodies were strong enough. The three of them moved in front of Xiao He at the same time, using their massive bodies as shields. They were protecting me. I looked at their backs. For some reason, I felt a strange warmth. In this frozen world, these companions were becoming more and more important. At that moment, Xiao He suddenly started trembling. I immediately noticed. It was afraid. The approaching blizzard had frightened it. I reached out and rubbed its head. It's okay, Xiao He. We're going home. Home is safe. After hearing my words, Xiao He slowly calmed down. But before we could go far, crack, a strange sound came from above. I looked up. Several dead trees had been snapped by the violent wind. Their broken branches were being thrown into the air. The amount was shocking. If one of those hit someone, even with our bodies, it would hurt badly. I immediately shouted toward Taiju. Taiju, be careful. Something might fall from above. Taiju immediately replied, Don't worry, master. I'll watch out. But the moment he finished speaking, whoosh, something fell from the sky. Bang. It smashed directly in front of Taiju. The ground cracked. Taiju froze. I also instinctively looked toward the hole. Then I was stunned. Because inside was a chest. A treasure chest. I stared at it. It seemed this chest had been hidden inside a dead tree or somewhere above. The storm had torn it loose and sent it flying here. A lucky coincidence. But right now, I had no time to check it. Even if this chest contained priceless treasures, surviving the coming blizzard was more important. I put it into my backpack. Let's go. We need to get home. Yes, master. The road back became even more difficult. The wind slowed us down again and again. But finally, 1 hour before the blizzard arrived, we returned safely. The moment the door opened, Xiao Xiao rushed over. Master, you're finally back. I was so worried. Branches were flying everywhere outside. It was too dangerous. She had clearly noticed the changes outside. Even she had been frightened. I smiled and comforted her. It's fine. See, we all came back safely. Then I looked at everyone. Split up. Check the doors and windows. Make sure everything is locked. Every single one. Understood? Yes, master. Everyone immediately moved. I walked to the window. The frost on my face melted under the warmth of the room, turning into drops of water. I wiped it away. Then I looked outside. The sky was dark. The wind was roaring. The moment we had been preparing for had finally arrived. This day finally came. The blizzard that was about to arrive was probably far more terrifying than I had imagined. The storm hadn't even truly started yet. This was only the beginning. The cold wind mixed with heavy snow slammed against my base again and again. Although the snowflakes melted before they could enter the courtyard because of the furnace's protection range, the invisible pressure brought by the storm still weighed heavily on my heart. At that moment, I suddenly felt warmth in my palm. I lowered my head. I saw Xiao Xiao standing beside me at some point. Her small hand was gently holding mine. Her voice trembled slightly. Master, will this blizzard be too powerful? I looked at her frightened expression. I knew exactly what she was worried about. After taking a deep breath, I smiled. It's fine. We'll be okay. Xiao Xiao didn't have the system information I had. She didn't know that as long as the conditions were met, the furnace core could resist this disaster. So naturally, she had no confidence. But I knew very clearly. The system said we could survive. Then we definitely could. The huge stone pressing against my heart finally became a little lighter. But then, I suddenly remembered something. When we were rushing back earlier, something had fallen from the sky. A treasure chest. At that time, I was only focused on getting back before the storm arrived. I hadn't opened it yet. I still didn't know what was inside. Thinking of this, I immediately took the treasure chest out of my backpack. The moment it appeared, Taiju, Dazhuang, Erzwang, and Xiao Xiao all gathered around curiously. What could be inside? I didn't answer. Instead, I slowly opened the chest. Several black stones rolled out. At first glance, they looked like ordinary coal. But when I looked carefully, there were tiny sparkling spots on their surface. My expression changed. Refined coal times 10. Description: can temporarily increase furnace core level by 1 dot. Consumption: 1 hour/1 unit. Refined coal. I carefully read the system description. Temporarily increasing the furnace core level? Does that mean, if I used refined coal in a level 4 furnace core, it could temporarily reach the effect of a level 5 furnace core? Then it could resist a blizzard that originally required level 5? My eyes lit up. This thing, could save lives in a situation like this. But after thinking about it carefully, I realized something. I didn't need it right now, and the consumption rate was too high. One unit only lasted 1 hour. I only had 10 pieces. That was completely insufficient to rely on it to survive the entire blizzard. Unless, a thought suddenly flashed through my mind. I slapped my forehead. Why did I forget? I had the enhancement system. I immediately picked up one piece of refined coal. Enhance. A white light surrounded the refined coal. The next second, the light disappeared. The coal seemed unchanged. But when I looked at the system notification, I smiled. Enhanced refined coal times 1. Description: contemporarily increase furnace core level by 1 dot. Consumption: 10 hours/1 unit. I nodded in satisfaction. Now this makes sense. 10 hours per unit. That's much more reasonable. I stored the enhanced refined coal away, although I didn't need it at the moment. Being prepared was never a bad thing. Even if tomorrow the storm required a level 6 furnace core, I would still have a way to deal with it. I looked at everyone. Then I gently touched Xiao Xiao's head. All right. Everyone worked hard today. Go rest. The blizzard won't be able to affect our base. Also, until the weather returns to normal, don't go outside to work. Stay inside. Understood? Yes, master. Taizhu and the others nodded before leaving. But Xiao Xiao didn't leave immediately. Instead, she gently pulled my sleeve. Master, can I sleep with you tonight? The wind outside. It sounds really scary. I'm a little afraid. I was actually planning to refuse. But then I thought about it. Even if I refused, would it actually work? I could almost imagine waking up tomorrow and finding Xiao Xiao already curled up inside my blanket. I smiled helplessly. All right, let's go sleep. Back in the room, Xiao Xiao's small body stayed close beside me. The storm outside kept roaring. The sound of the wind hitting the walls was terrifying. Because of that, I couldn't fall asleep. After lying there for a while, I finally gave up. Since I couldn't sleep, I might as well check the World Channel. I wanted to see whether other people's storms were as terrifying as mine. The moment I opened the channel, countless messages appeared. Almost all of them were about trading resources. Chat channel. World chat. 1.9 billion people. Regional chat. 260,000 people. Brothers. 20 wood or stone for 1 iron ore. I only need a little more to upgrade. I'm short of 50 iron ore to upgrade my furnace core. Is there any kind person willing to help me? 20 wood is too little. The current price of 1 iron ore is almost 40 wood. Exactly. I've already dismantled furniture just to buy iron ore. I'm only missing a few. I stared at the messages. 40 wood. For only 1 iron ore? I couldn't help clicking my tongue. That price was ridiculous. Before this, when iron ore was still scarce, the exchange rate was only around 20 stone for 1 piece. But now, the Great Blizzard was approaching. If people couldn't upgrade their furnace core before it arrived, they would freeze to death. At that point, no amount of resources would matter. I continued scrolling. Then one message caught my attention. Does anyone need a fishing net? 100 iron ore and I'll trade it. If you have 100 iron ore, I'll even include my other supplies. A fishing net? That was actually a pretty good item. With it, wouldn't I become a professional fisherman? The only problem was, the price was absurd. 100 iron ore. Who could afford that now? Still, I was interested. I sent him a private message. I sincerely want your fishing net. But your price is too high. How about 10 iron ore? The other person replied almost instantly. Sorry, big brother. I desperately need materials to upgrade. If I can't get enough iron ore, I'm dead. If you have 100 iron ore, I'll give you everything I have. I could tell he was truly desperate. I calmly replied, I can't give you 100 iron ore, but I do have a way to increase furnace core levels. The moment he saw my message, his attitude changed immediately. Big brother, if you can save my life, I'll give you the fishing net for free. Anyway, I can't even catch fish with it. I was confused. Why? Is there something wrong with the fishing net? The other person sighed. Big brother, you don't know. My base is next to a damn dead volcano. There isn't even a place suitable for fishing. I understood immediately. That was indeed unlucky. A fishing net was practically useless if there was no water source. I thought for a moment. Then you should have plenty of minerals there, right? Volcanic areas usually have rich resources. The other person replied quickly. Don't mention it, big brother. I have all kinds of strange things. But I don't have iron ore. Sometimes I find a little, but 2 swings of the pickaxe and it's gone. There's nowhere near enough. I became curious. What minerals do you have there? The answer came quickly. Many. From what I've explored so far, there are sulfur mines and obsidian mines. They don't have any use right now, but I feel like they will definitely be useful in the future. Big brother, if you can help me survive this disaster, I'll become your #1 follower. I'll collect these minerals for you for free. You probably can't find them easily where you are, right? Hearing what the other person said, I thought about it carefully. He was right. Materials like sulfur, ore, and obsidian, although they had no use right now, that didn't mean they would be useless forever. The world had just begun. No one knew what kinds of things would appear in the future. And judging from my current surroundings, this place didn't look like somewhere that could produce those rare minerals. Thinking of this, I made a decision. I would help him. Helping someone when they were desperate was far more valuable than making a simple trade. I looked at the refined coal in my hand. One piece was obviously not enough. If I wanted to save him, I needed more. Fortunately, I still had the enhancement system. During this period of time, I had been saving my daily enhancement chances. I hadn't used them because I didn't have anything suitable. But now, it was finally useful. I silently said one word in my heart. Enhance. The next second, a white light wrapped around the refined coal. Soon, the light disappeared. The refinement was complete. Enhanced refined coal ×1. Description: can increase furnace core level by 1 dot. Consumption: 10 hours/1 unit. Looking at the enhanced effect, I nodded. Then I enhanced another piece. 2 pieces. 20 hours. That should be enough to survive this storm. I directly traded the 2 pieces of enhanced refined coal to him. This is the item that can temporarily increase the furnace core level. After the blizzard begins, put it into your furnace and use it. The other person stared at the 2 pieces of enhanced refined coal in his hand. After carefully checking the system description, his originally tense expression completely relaxed. He understood. This thing was definitely a rare item. A fishing net or some resources couldn't compare with it at all. He immediately opened his backpack. Then he traded all the things he had. Sulfur ore, obsidian ore, and the fishing net. Thank you, big brother. You saved my life. These are all the things I have right now. After surviving this storm, I'll continue exploring. I'll find more rare minerals for you. Looking at the pile of items he traded over, some were valuable, some were ordinary. I immediately understood. These were probably all his belongings. All right, then let's leave it at that for now. I'll add you as a friend. Accept it. I opened his information page. His name was Tian Fei. You're Tian Fei, right? I'm Su Yang. The other person immediately replied. Yes, big brother Su. Just call me Xiao Tian. If you need anything, just tell me. I closed the chat channel. Then I opened my backpack. Among the new items, my eyes stopped on the fishing net. After the blizzard ends, I'll have to try this thing. Wouldn't it be great if I could actually catch fish? Just as I was about to close the system panel, I suddenly felt a strange fluctuation. A notification appeared in front of me. Large blizzard is approaching. Countdown: 10, 9, 8, 3, 2, 1, 0. The blizzard has arrived. The drowsiness in my mind disappeared instantly. The storm had officially begun, although I had already gotten used to the sound of the wind outside. The next moment, the cold wind suddenly became even more violent. Snow slammed against the windows. Rustling sounds continued. It sounded like countless hands were scratching against the glass. But Xiao Xiao? She was still sleeping peacefully beside me. Perhaps because she felt safe here. The terrifying noise outside didn't wake her at all. I moved my body carefully and got out of bed. Then I walked slowly toward the window. Looking outside, my expression became serious. The dark clouds that had originally been in the distance had completely surrounded my base. The entire world seemed to have only 2 colors, black and white. As the sky became darker and darker, my base felt completely separated from the outside world. But even in this scene that looked like the end of the world, my base still stood firmly, unmoved. The furnace core's protection gave me a lot of confidence. But suddenly, I remembered something. My potatoes. Can they survive? The cold potatoes were already close to harvest. If they died now, I would definitely be furious. No, if I didn't check, I probably wouldn't be able to sleep tonight. I quietly left the bedroom, then quickly walked to the front door. Through the window, I looked toward the plantation area. The violent airflow made my vision blurry, but I could still barely see it. The cold potato leaves were shaking violently in the storm. They were being pushed around by the wind. But the roots still seemed stable. They didn't look like they were about to be pulled out. I sighed slightly. It seemed the walls blocked a large portion of the storm. But this was only the beginning. I didn't know how long this disaster would last. I could only silently pray for them. After pouring myself a glass of water, I returned to the bedroom, sitting beside the warm bed. My tense heart relaxed slightly. I got back under the blanket, but I still couldn't sleep. Since I couldn't sleep, I might as well check the World Channel. I wanted to know how everyone else was doing. Chat channel. World chat, 1.6 billion people. Regional chat, 220,000 people. Looking at the numbers displayed on the channel, my heart tightened. How long had it been? And hundreds of millions of people were already gone. This blizzard was terrifying. Every second, countless people were disappearing. But it made sense. Without the protection of the base, humans couldn't survive in this environment for more than 5 minutes. I continued looking through the messages. The first thing that appeared was a video. I clicked on it. Inside the video, a man was recording his own base. Then I saw something terrifying. The roof of his house was being torn away. The violent blizzard was like a giant machine. It shredded the building piece by piece. Furniture flew everywhere. And in the middle of the chaos was the man's terrified face. The entire scene was horrifying. Help! My house is destroyed. Before he could finish speaking, a violent gust swept over. The video shook violently. Then, the screen went completely black. No more sound. I closed the video. My mood became complicated. That scene was only a tiny reflection of countless people suffering outside. And then, another video appeared. This time, 7 or 8 people were gathered together. They had wrapped almost everything wearable around themselves. Clothes, blankets, anything that could provide warmth. But even so, they were still trembling violently. Their base could resist the storm, but their furnace core level wasn't high enough. It couldn't balance the indoor and outdoor temperatures. So being frozen was only a matter of time. Can anyone give us some iron ore? We only need a little more to upgrade. Please help us. After the storm ends, we'll work for you. Their words sounded sincere, but nobody helped. Instead, most replies were mocking. Some people were even enjoying their suffering. I rubbed my forehead. I didn't want to continue watching. I closed the World Channel. Then I looked around the base. Everything was normal. No damage. No problems. Outside the window, the world remained completely dark. The wind and snow continued attacking the base, but not a single trace of cold air entered. Under the furnace core's protection, the temperature inside my base remained perfectly comfortable. At least for now, my home was safe. In the warm blanket, a fluffy little head slowly moved closer. Then it buried itself into my arms. I was just about to fall asleep when I suddenly felt something was wrong. The blizzard outside seemed to become even more violent. The endless snow was like a bottomless white vortex. Earlier, I could still vaguely see the outside through the window. But now, nothing. Not even a shadow. The entire window was covered by thick snow. The howling wind became sharper and sharper, like countless blades cutting through the air. And the base that had remained completely stable in the storm was actually shaking slightly. My eyes widened. I immediately got out of bed. I focused all my attention and carefully sensed the movement. Sure enough, the steel structure of the base was trembling, very slightly, but it was definitely moving. This sudden change made my heart sink. Could the system actually be wrong? If this base couldn't withstand the storm, then everything was over. I stood there without moving. My mind started racing. I quickly considered every possible solution. But as time passed, I still couldn't think of anything. The base continued shaking, but it didn't become worse. Gradually, I got used to the feeling. It looked dangerous, but in reality, the base was still capable of resisting the storm. I returned to the bed, feeling the slight shaking of the room. My nerves, which had been tense for too long, slowly relaxed. Somehow, it actually felt like lying in a cradle. Before I knew it, I fell asleep. In my dream, I fell into an ice cave. Cold. Extremely cold. The kind of cold that felt like it reached straight into my bones. I struggled desperately. I tried climbing out, but the surrounding ice walls blocked me completely. No matter how hard I tried, I couldn't escape, but I refused to give up. Again and again. Finally, on my last attempt, the ice beneath my hand suddenly cracked. Crack. The ice broke apart. My body immediately fell downward. Fuck. Cough, cough. I woke up suddenly. My head felt heavy. I shook it and slowly regained consciousness. My throat was dry. I reached for the cup beside the bed. I wanted to drink some water, but the moment the cup reached my mouth, I froze. The water inside had become a block of ice. My expression changed instantly. Could it be? The furnace core has failed. I immediately lifted the blanket. Then I picked up Xiao Xiao, who was still trembling in her sleep, and held her in my arms. I was about to go downstairs and check, but the moment I left the warmth of the blanket, a freezing cold swept over my entire body, exactly like the cold in my dream. My body trembled violently. I froze in place. Even my teeth started shaking uncontrollably. Warning! Warning! Lord has entered a hypothermia state. Health will continue to decrease. Current health, 49/100. What? Why did I suddenly enter hypothermia? The system's alarm forced me to calm down. Looking at my rapidly decreasing health, I immediately opened my backpack. My eyes quickly scanned through all my items. Then, I found it. A reinforced hand warmer. Fortunately, I prepared ahead of time. I immediately used it. The moment the hand warmer touched my body, a trace of warmth spread throughout me. Although the hypothermia state wasn't removed, my health stopped decreasing. My stiff limbs slowly recovered. I didn't dare delay any longer. Holding Xiao Xiao, I rushed downstairs. When I reached the furnace core room, my expression changed. Taiju and the other two minotaurs were gathered around the furnace core, trying to keep warm. But even with their huge bodies pressed together, they still couldn't resist the freezing temperature. They were trembling violently. They looked miserable. Compared to humans, the minotaur race had a much stronger resistance to cold. Even in harsh environments, they had survived and reproduced. But now, even they had become like this. That showed just how terrifying the temperature inside the base had become. Moo, Master, Taiju saw me. He tried to speak, but his mind was already becoming sluggish. I ignored my own condition. I stepped forward and looked at the furnace core. The light emitted from it was gradually fading. Could it really be unable to resist the cold outside? I looked at the switch above the furnace core. Without hesitation, I pulled it down. Overload mode. Activated. A level 5 overloaded furnace core. Coal consumption times 10/hour. Provides area warming effect. Switch. Coal/wood. The furnace core suddenly roared. Boom. A wave of heat surged outward. Slowly, Taiju and the others stopped trembling. Xiao Xiao also gradually relaxed. Everyone could clearly feel it. The temperature inside the base was rising. Taiju looked at me. Moo, Master, I almost froze to death. Xiao Xiao rubbed her eyes. She had actually already woken up from the cold, but she had stayed in my arms. The warmth from my body had allowed her to endure until now. I sent Taiju and the others back to their rooms. Then I checked my backpack. Hundreds of pieces of coal. After calculating carefully, even with overload mode running continuously, we could still last. Only then did I finally relax. I looked at the hand warmer stuck on my body. I wondered, could I use it again after removing it? The temperature was normal now. Using it once and throwing it away felt wasteful. There were still 9 hours left. I returned to the bedroom, looking at the endless blizzard outside. I opened my backpack again. I wanted to organize my current resources. Then suddenly, something caught my attention. A piece of sulfur ore quietly sat in the corner. I froze. Wait, that guy. How is he doing? What was his name again? Right. Tian Fei. I immediately remembered. Earlier, I gave him 2 pieces of enhanced refined coal. They could temporarily raise his furnace core to level 5. But my own level 5 furnace core had almost failed. I could only survive by activating overload mode. And the material consumption was something that someone like him probably couldn't afford. I immediately opened private chat, then sent him 30 pieces of coal. Tian Fei, are you still alive? Thankfully, the reply came quickly. Thank you. Big brother. I'm already doomed. I'm about to freeze to death. Seeing his message, I immediately replied, put the coal into your furnace core. Then activate overload mode. Overload mode? What is that? I've never seen it. I slapped my forehead. Right. A level 4 furnace core didn't have overload mode. Then I looked at the hand warmer attached to my body. A thought appeared. Can this still be used? I removed the hand warmer, then opened the trading interface. I wanted to see if I could trade this used item. The result surprised me. It could actually be traded. Without hesitation, I sent it to Tian Fei. A moment later, he received it. After checking the description, he immediately attached it to himself. Then, The decrease in his health stopped. Name, Tian Fei. Current health, 21 out of 100. Although he was still cold, at least he no longer felt like death was standing outside his door. Thank you, big brother. You saved my life again. I don't know how to repay you. From now on, you're my big brother. I'll do anything. Big brother. This hand warmer seems to warm others too. I was hugging my lizard man companion. He seems to have recovered too. Hearing that the hand warmer worked, I finally relaxed. Good. As long as you're alive. I closed the chat window, then switched back to World Chat. Chat channel. World Chat, 1 billion people. Regional Chat, 140,000 people. The numbers made my expression serious. The blizzard still hadn't stopped, and the number of survivors continued dropping. Messages filled the channel. Almost everyone was asking for wood or coal. I need wood. I can trade iron ore. Does anyone sell wood? I can exchange stone. 50 stone for 1 wood. I need wood too. My furnace core is running overload mode. My wood is almost gone. The storm showed no sign of stopping. The entire world channel was filled with requests for survival materials. Occasionally, someone offered precious items for exchange. But those treasures that would normally be extremely valuable were now not even worth as much as dozens of units of wood. Because right now, the only things that mattered were materials that could keep people alive. Wood, coal. Seeing this, my interest was gradually raised. I watched for a while. Then, I opened the trading system. I wanted to see what treasures these people were willing to give up just to survive. The moment I opened the trading market, I could clearly feel it. The prices of wood and coal had completely changed. During this shortage period, their value had skyrocketed. Before this, wood was the cheapest resource. 1 piece of iron ore, even 20 pieces of wood might not be enough to exchange for it. But now, things were completely different. 10 pieces of wood could already exchange for 1 iron ore. Of course, that was only the theoretical price. In reality, no one could actually buy wood at that price. The amount of iron ore stored in everyone's hands was also limited. Compared to wood, the price of coal was even more terrifying. The exchange ratio had reached 1 coal equals 10 iron ore. But even at such a ridiculous price, it still wasn't something you could buy whenever you wanted. The moment wood or coal appeared in the trading channel, as long as the price wasn't too high, it would disappear instantly. I looked at my backpack. I currently had more than 600 pieces of wood and more than 300 pieces of coal. At this point, wood was no longer useful to me. The coal inside my furnace core was also enough. Since fuel had become the most valuable resource right now, I decided to exchange some of it for other materials. 600 wood, 100 coal. I wondered how many resources I could get. I opened the trading interface. Following the current market prices, I set up exchanges for stone, iron ore, and other resources. After confirming the prices, I immediately put them on the market. Then, something unbelievable happened. Not even 10 seconds passed. All of my wood was completely exchanged. Looking at the resources that appeared in my backpack, I froze. 928 iron ore. 8,922 stone. Fuck, is it really that easy to sell? I couldn't help being surprised. I hadn't expected everyone to react so quickly. It seemed the shortage of fuel was far more serious than I imagined. But honestly, the resources I had obtained were already enough to satisfy me. I opened the trading interface again. This time, I wanted to see what other people were selling. Maybe I could find something useful. But the first things I saw were all kinds of strange items. Some were only priced at 1 piece of wood. Broken underwear from treasure chests. It could probably still be worn after patching. Cotton clothes with holes. They could be worn. But whether they could keep someone warm was another question. Brand new chopsticks. Slightly flawed bowls. Carpets. Old blankets. Waterproof shoes. Basically, anything I could imagine coming out of a treasure chest could be found here. Many items were being sold for only 1 piece of wood or coal. It seemed that for survival, some people had truly taken out everything they owned. I refreshed the page again. Then suddenly, wait, what is this? Among the pile of items, I noticed a blueprint. It looked like an old, damaged parchment scroll, sitting quietly in the corner. Very easy to miss. I clicked to check it. Then my eyes widened. It was actually a weapon blueprint. Name, weapon blueprint. Description, after use, it can be loaded into the system and randomly obtain a weapon blueprint. Exchange price, 1 coal. Random weapon blueprint? That was interesting, but also very uncertain. Wasn't this basically just gambling? The range was too broad. A pistol counted as a weapon. A slingshot also counted as a weapon. The difference in power between them was enormous. However, the price wasn't expensive, so I didn't hesitate. I exchanged for it. I continued scrolling. Then, a bluebird egg appeared in my vision. Name, unknown bird egg. Description, egg of an unknown bird species. Can be incubated. Requires level 6 furnace core, incubation time, 50 hours. Exchange price, 10 wood. Another unknown item? And the requirements were quite demanding. It actually needed a level 6 furnace core. But this egg looked unusual. If it could really hatch, what kind of creature would come out? 10 wood wasn't expensive. Curiosity got the better of me. I exchanged for it. The blue egg entered my backpack. After that, I continued searching. Soon, I exchanged for 2 more items. Name, Spike Trap Blueprint. Description, unlock Spike Trap, crafting dot. Name, Taming Collar. Description, contain weakened beasts. Chance of failure exists. The prices of these things weren't high. The Spike Trap Blueprint didn't interest me much. But blueprints were something I never refused. After all, you never knew when they would become useful. The thing that truly caught my attention was the Taming Collar. Looking at the description, my heart moved. It could tame weakened beasts. Then, if I encountered a snowfield wolf or an ice-claw demon bear, would I have a chance to tame them? Of course, I wasn't sure. The description clearly stated there was a failure chance. Thinking of this, I took the collar out of my backpack. I carefully examined it. Nothing special. At first glance, it looked like an ordinary collar. But when I turned it over, I discovered something. There were complicated runes carved into the inside. I didn't understand what they meant, but I guessed. These runes were probably the reason it worked. I stopped playing with it, then stored it away. When I had the opportunity, I would test its effect. The wind outside continued roaring. Snow kept striking the windows. But inside the base, I felt an incredible sense of safety. Gradually, I began treating those terrifying sounds like a lullaby. My exhausted nerves finally couldn't hold on anymore. I fell asleep. The next morning, I slowly woke up. Opening my eyes, my first instinct was to look toward the window. I thought that after waking up, the blizzard outside might finally be gone. But the familiar sound of the wind told me otherwise. The large-scale blizzard was still raging. The endless snow made people feel irritated. I sighed helplessly, then lay back down. I opened the system and checked the base status. Then I noticed something. The furnace core overload mode had automatically turned off. I thought about it. It probably meant the most violent period of the storm had already passed. After all, at the beginning, the furnace core didn't even need overload mode. It was already enough to resist the blizzard. So, does that mean this storm is almost over? Thinking about this, I rubbed my face, then got out of bed. I went downstairs to the living room. The moment I arrived, I immediately saw Taiju, Dazhuang, and Erzwang. Because the blizzard hadn't ended, the 3 Minotaurs still couldn't go outside to work. And since they couldn't sit still, they had found something to do. Cleaning. The only problem was, the tiny broom looked more like a chopstick in Tieju's massive hands. And there was basically nothing on the floor to clean. As for Dazhuang and Erzwang, it was even more ridiculous. The small cloth in their hands looked completely out of place. They didn't look like they were wiping the table. From my perspective, it looked like they had a personal grudge against the table. They were rubbing so hard. I felt like they were about to carve a hole into it. I couldn't help laughing. The Minotaur race really had endless energy. They were born unable to stay idle. At that moment, the little fox girl had already finished preparing breakfast and walked out of the kitchen. "Master, you're awake. Come have breakfast." I responded, and only then did Taiju and the other 2 Minotaurs notice me standing at the bottom of the stairs. "Moo, good morning, master." Taiju greeted me weakly. Of course, I knew why, so I comforted them. "Hang in there, Taiju. The blizzard outside still hasn't stopped. Even if you go out, there's nothing you can do." Taiju didn't say anything. He lowered his head and continued playing with the broom in his hand. Meanwhile, Erzwang muttered from the side, "I really miss the days when we could chop trees and mine." "Come on, Erzwang. Isn't wiping tables pretty good too?" But the 3 Minotaurs clearly had no appetite. They didn't even touch breakfast. They just sat beside the table. I ate my breakfast while opening the World Channel. Chat Channel. World Chat Channel, 600 million people. Regional Chat Channel, 90,000 people. Damn, I stared at the number displayed by the system in disbelief. For a moment, I wondered if I had read it wrong. I closed my eyes and opened them again. The number hadn't changed. After one night, another half of humanity had disappeared from this frozen world. I no longer had the energy to sigh at how cruel this world was. After experiencing countless shocks over such a long time, I had become numb to these numbers. Even though I knew these were all living people, there was nothing I could do. All I could do was survive. I had already accepted the reality of coming to this world, and I was certain I would live better here. I looked at the messages scrolling through the world channel. Finally survived. Our wood is almost completely burned up, and the blizzard still hasn't ended. Same here. We're barely holding on. If this storm continues until tomorrow. Last night was too dangerous. Our wood ran out, and the furnace core almost went out. But then the blizzard suddenly weakened. My teammates immediately tore apart all the furniture and threw it into the furnace. That's how we survived the night. If the snowstorm hadn't weakened and your overload mode hadn't turned off, your furniture wouldn't have lasted even an hour. Watching the speed at which messages appeared, I felt that there seemed to be far fewer people speaking than before. After eating the last piece of fish meat, I closed the world channel. Then I stood up, preparing to take the plate to the kitchen. Seeing me get up, the little fox girl quickly said, "Master, let me do it." As she spoke, she walked over and reached out to take the plate. But unexpectedly, at that moment, Taiju and the other two minotaurs came over. "Moo, Master, I'll wash your dishes." "Big brother Taiju, leave this job to me. You two stop fighting. I was born to wash dishes." My head started hurting. I looked at the three of them and said, "There aren't many plates at home. Be careful and don't break them." The three minotaurs pushed and shoved each other as they went to wash the dishes. I stood up and walked to the window, looking at the blizzard still raging outside. I somehow felt restless. I wonder how my potatoes are doing after this night. I still remembered the last time I saw the frost potatoes. Through the window, their leaves had already been blown around by the storm. Unfortunately, the blizzard was too powerful. I couldn't do anything to help. I could only leave it to fate. Now that the storm had weakened considerably, maybe I could take this chance to check. The frost potatoes would become one of my main food sources in the future. No, I have to go take a look. Once this thought appeared, I couldn't suppress it anymore. But I couldn't just go outside like this. The clothes I was wearing were far too thin for the outside temperature. I returned to my bedroom and searched around. However, I couldn't find anything thick enough to keep me warm. So, I simply picked up the blanket from my bed, then wrapped it around myself. This should be enough. I returned to the entrance. The little fox girl and the three minotaurs looked at me curiously. "Master, where are you going?" "It's fine. Stay inside. I'm just going to the plantation ahead to check the frost potatoes." After saying that, I opened the door. The freezing wind instantly rushed into the house. Even the light from the furnace core dimmed slightly. So strong, I felt like my body was about to freeze solid. "Taiju, pull down the lever on the furnace." As the furnace core entered overload mode again, I no longer felt like I was about to freeze. But it's still unbelievably cold. Every exposed part of my skin felt like it was being stabbed by needles. After a short while, that pain turned into warmth. But I knew that was the sign of nerve endings being damaged by frostbite. I had to return quickly. I covered every exposed area of my body, without the direct impact of the cold wind. And with the furnace core protecting the area, I wouldn't die that quickly. I stepped outside. After some effort, I managed to close the door behind me. Then, against the blizzard, I hurried toward the plantation. I crouched down and checked. The leaves of the frost potatoes had been completely destroyed by the storm. They were scattered everywhere, looking wilted and lifeless. Oh no, did they die? My heart tightened. I quickly used my hands to gently move aside the leaves. And then, I discovered that underneath, the roots of the frost potatoes were still full of vitality. Only some of the leaves had been broken by the wind. Good, they're still alive. My potatoes. Suddenly, my body trembled. It felt like my entire body had become stiff. At that moment, the system notification sounded. "Warning, warning, detected that the Lord has entered a hypothermia state. Health will continue to decrease. Current health, 49/100. Damn again. I trembled as I walked back toward the house. Taiju immediately opened the door and pulled me inside. The temperature inside quickly recovered. The furnace core overload mode also automatically shut down. But my body still couldn't stop shaking. This feeling, it was exactly like falling into an ice pit. I couldn't feel any warmth at all, but gradually, as the hypothermia state disappeared, my health slowly began recovering. The little fox girl and the three minotaurs looked at me with worried expressions. Master, are you okay? Moo. Master, how are you feeling now? After quite some time, I finally recovered. After this experience, I had learned my lesson, but it was worth it. As long as I knew the frost potatoes were safe, the huge weight in my heart was finally gone. I looked at the nervous little fox girl and the three minotaurs beside me. Taiju, go do your things. Don't worry about me. The little fox girl nervously handed me a cup of hot water. Drink some warm water, master. After drinking the cup of hot water, my condition finally recovered. With nothing else to do, I stared at the violent snowstorm outside the window. At this point, there was no way I could think about going outside. So I simply began sorting through the things I had obtained from the trading market last night. Looking at the scattered items lying in my backpack. Sulfur or obsidian or these aren't useful for now. My gaze moved past the mineral materials. Fishing net, unknown bird egg, weapon blueprint, spike trap, taming collar. I really did get quite a few interesting things. I casually clicked on the weapon blueprint. Name, weapon blueprint. Load into forging system. After confirming, I opened the forging system. The weapon category on the forging table immediately lit up. I raised my hand and clicked on it. A weapon model appeared inside. But after taking a closer look, the smile on my face almost reached my ears. Holy crap, a double-barrel shotgun. I jumped straight up from the bed. Name, double-barrel shotgun. Description, a powerful hunting shotgun. Magazine capacity, 4 rounds. Slow reload speed. Crafting materials, oakwood 5, steel 5, flint *5. After calming down, I looked carefully at the information panel. The materials required for this double-barrel shotgun didn't seem like much. But the problem was, I had never even seen these materials before. I opened the trading system. I wanted to see if anyone was selling these materials. However, after searching through the entire trading market, I could only find plenty of oak wood. The other two materials were nowhere to be seen. It seemed that I would have to collect them myself. With no other choice, I temporarily gave up on the idea. Then I turned my attention to the unknown bird egg. I took it out from my system backpack. Holding the egg in my hands, I carefully examined it. It was about the size of a fist. The shell was a deep blue color. There was no movement coming from inside. The system still only displayed unknown bird egg. At least, I had confirmed it was a bird egg, not some kind of lizard egg. As for the incubation requirements, I actually wasn't too worried. Although it required a level 6 furnace core and 50 hours of incubation time before it could hatch, that wasn't a problem for me. I still had plenty of refined coal in my backpack. The strengthened refined coal was more than enough to maintain the furnace core's temperature until the egg successfully hatched. Looking at the 8 remaining refined coal pieces in my backpack, I directly strengthened 5 of them at once. Then I called the little fox girl over. Together, we walked to the furnace core. Xiao Xiao, I need you to help me with something later. Hearing my words, the little fox girl immediately replied, Master, just tell me what you need. See this bird egg? I'm going to place it beside the furnace core to incubate. When you have time, keep an eye on it. Don't accidentally cook it. I threw all 5 strengthened refined coal pieces into the furnace. Instantly, the heating effect of the furnace core increased dramatically. Even wearing my coat, I felt a little too warm. I carefully wrapped the bird egg with soft cloth, then placed it inside a basket beside the furnace core. Keep a good eye on it. The little fox girl nodded seriously. Don't worry, master. Then she moved a chair over. She sat beside the basket, rested her chin on her hands, and stared at the egg. You don't need to stare at it all the time. Just check on it occasionally. After giving her instructions, I walked into the living room and sat down, looking at the spike trap and taming collar inside my backpack. There was no way to set up traps right now, and there was nowhere I could use the collar, so I temporarily ignored them. Xiao Xiao, you don't need to keep watching the bird egg. Make me a cup of tea. The little fox girl answered and quickly prepared tea for me. I took a sip, then found a comfortable position and closed my eyes. The blizzard had not ended yet. Right now, everyone in the house could only obediently wait. I didn't know how much time passed. The sky gradually darkened. Taiju and the other 2 minotaurs were the first to notice. The snowstorm outside seemed to be getting weaker. The violent snowflakes that had once danced wildly were now slowly drifting down. The wind speed was also gradually decreasing. Even the pitch-black clouds covering the sky like the bottom of a pot were slowly fading away. Moo! Hurry! Go tell Master. The blizzard is stopping. The blizzard is finally stopping. Taiju and the others wanted to tell me the good news immediately. Their footsteps sounded like drums pounding. Bang! 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 The noise woke me up from my half-asleep state. Taiju, why are you rushing around? What happened? Master, the blizzard seems like it's stopping. Look outside. Hearing this, my eyes widened instantly. I jumped up from the sofa like a carp flipping over, then quickly rushed to the window. Looking outside, sure enough, the snowstorm really was getting weaker, and the dark clouds in the sky were rapidly retreating. Strands of sunlight pierced through the clouds once again. Not long after, the clouds completely disappeared. The sky became clear and blue. It looked peaceful, almost as if the terrifying storm from before had never happened. I immediately ran downstairs, then pushed open the door and stepped outside. At this moment, the world outside was completely calm. Looking around, the only things I could see were the twisted forest in the distance and the several meters of snow covering the ground. These were the only things proving how terrifying the blizzard had been. Inside the range of the furnace core, the accumulated snow was already slowly melting. The water flowed into the base's storage tank. At this moment, everyone inside the house came outside. They breathed in the fresh air. The cold air entering their lungs made everyone shiver. But at the same time, everyone felt an indescribable happiness, the joy of surviving a disaster. Taiju and Dazhuang even jumped directly into the snow, rolling around happily. Freedom. This is what freedom feels like. I was going crazy staying inside the house. Master, hurry and give us some tasks. I want to work now. I can't wait another second. Looking at the three excited Minotaurs, I couldn't help laughing. All right, you three can do whatever you want. Just come back earlier tonight. After getting my permission, the three Minotaurs immediately jumped up from the snow. Master, we promise we'll come back early. They returned inside, picked up their tools, then rushed toward the distant forest. Originally, I wanted to celebrate surviving the blizzard with them. But now it seemed, Taiju and the others had their own way of celebrating. I never thought someone could become addicted to working. I shook my head helplessly, then walked back into the house. But at that moment, the system notification suddenly sounded. Ding! System notification. Congratulations. You have successfully survived the large-scale blizzard. Reward, Map Fragment *1. A notification window appeared in front of me. It immediately caught my attention. Before I could carefully check it, the system notification sounded again. Ding! Ding! System notification. A small-scale beast tide will arrive in 7 days. Please prepare, Lord. Ding! Quest notification. Quest, construct watchtower. Reward, bow and arrow *10. Watchtower has been unlocked. Please go to the construction directory to build it. After the system notification finally stopped, only then did I have time to sort out my thoughts. But when I clearly saw the contents of the panel, damn it, again, the blizzard had only just ended. And immediately after that, a small-scale beast tide was coming. Looking at the beast tide notification, I cursed the system in my mind countless times. But soon, I realized something. Those beasts that had frequently appeared around the area before were probably the warning signs of the beast tide. It was just that some kind of force had restricted them. They could only attack territories when the specific time arrived. Could it be the system isn't trying to harm us? Instead, it has been protecting us. I shook my head. Since I couldn't figure it out, I stopped thinking about it. Returning to my room, I opened the World Channel. I wanted to see how the other lords were doing. World Channel. World Chat Channel, 500 million people. Regional Chat Channel, 80,000 people. The moment I opened the World Channel, I saw a flood of complaints. Another beast tide? Are we even supposed to survive? We already exchanged all our materials for wood and burned everything. Who isn't struggling? If you still have time to talk here, hurry up and collect materials to build defenses. I'll teach you guys a trick. Our team is already digging underground tunnels. When the beast tide comes, we'll hide inside. No beast can touch us. Holy crap. Are you guys actually geniuses? Looking at the idea of digging tunnels, I actually considered copying them. But I quickly rejected the thought. This beast tide was different from the blizzard. The storm disappeared once the time ended. But the beasts, they might not leave so easily. If I hid underground and the enemies guarded the entrance, wouldn't I just be trapped there forever? I couldn't possibly spend the rest of my life hiding in a hole. Everyone, go check the forging table. We already have weapons equipped. Stop thinking about hiding. This world clearly doesn't plan on letting us live peacefully. It's time to stop dreaming about merely surviving and start fighting for survival. I actually agreed with this lord's words. Running away would never solve the problem. In this cruel world, only by adapting to its rhythm could someone survive. I casually closed the world channel, then opened my system backpack. I planned to combine the map fragments I received after surviving the blizzard. I clicked on the map fragment. Other map fragments detected. Combine. Yes/no. I didn't hesitate. I directly chose yes. Instantly, the map panel unfolded before my eyes. The areas that had previously been covered by fog became clear. Several new resource locations appeared. I carefully examined the newly revealed areas. Suddenly, a yellow glowing point caught my attention. I tried clicking on it. At that moment, the system notification sounded. Ding. Hidden quest activated. Quest. Explore mysterious resource point. Quest reward. Strange fishing rod *1. Hidden quest. I thoughtfully nodded. It seemed this was not an ordinary resource point, but the reward was truly strange. Strange fishing rod. Could it be able to catch strange things? I thought about it carefully. Anyway, the blizzard outside had already stopped. Since that was the case, I could explore this place tomorrow. From what I could tell, it seemed like I could make the trip there and back within one day. The risk was still within an acceptable range. I closed the system panel, then walked outside. Standing in the courtyard, I looked up at the sky. The large blizzard seemed to have transformed all nearby clouds into snow. The vast sky was completely clear. Not a single cloud could be seen. I walked to the plantation, then crouched down and carefully checked the frost potatoes. Although some of the branches and leaves had been broken by the storm and turned yellow, the roots underneath were still dark green and full of life. Judging from their current growth, it shouldn't be long before I can finally eat them. I stood up, then walked toward the gate of my base. I pushed open the door and stepped outside. This time, I wanted to check the condition of the thorn plants. Previously, the thorns I planted had only just started growing, but now, they had already spread across the entire wall. The sharp spikes reflected a dark purple-black glow. They even seemed to contain poison. Looking at the thorns covering the walls, I thought about the beast tide coming in 7 days. I had no experience dealing with beast tides. I didn't even know what kind of creatures would attack. If it was a group of ice-claw demon bears, then relying only on these thorns would definitely not be enough. After exploring the mysterious resource point and completing the quest, I would need to properly prepare for the beast tide defense. That's the plan. I made up my mind, then turned around and returned inside. I arrived at the furnace core room. At this moment, the little fox girl was sitting beside it, quietly guarding the bird egg placed above the furnace core. Xiao Xiao. I softly called her name, but there was no response. I walked closer in confusion. Only then did I realize she had already fallen asleep. I gently touched her little head, then decided not to disturb her. I brewed myself a cup of tea, then prepared to clear away some of the snow outside the walls. The snow outside was several meters thick. Taiju and the others were fine. They could simply force their way through using their strength. But looking at the thick snow, I felt a headache coming on. I need to make a sled. Otherwise, moving around outside will be too inconvenient. I started clearing and shaping the snow. I turned the vertical height difference between the snow and the base entrance into a slope. That way, I wouldn't need to climb up every time I wanted to leave. By the time I finished this work, the sky had gradually become dark. And at that moment, Taiju and the other 2 minotaurs finally returned. The 3 of them looked energetic. It seemed staying indoors for too long had really driven them crazy. I checked my backpack. Sure enough, they really had worked hard today. Every type of material had increased by a considerable amount. I waved toward the 3 minotaurs. How was it? How did working feel? Hearing my voice, the 3 of them waved back excitedly. Moo. Master, being able to work again feels amazing. Everyone entered the house. The little fox girl also woke up. Judging by her expression, she had clearly slept very well. Even her little ears were standing high. Master, you're back. Dinner is ready. The little fox girl brought dinner out from the kitchen. I sat around the table with Taiju and the others. After working hard all day, The three minotaurs had an especially huge appetite. After dinner, they took comfortable baths. Then everyone returned to their rooms to rest. Lying on the bed, I opened the system panel again, looking at the hidden quest. I was still extremely curious about that strange fishing rod. What kind of place is this mysterious resource point? Could it be a rabbit girl tribe? I shook my head. That was probably impossible. But I couldn't help looking forward to tomorrow. After wasting some time, I finally started to feel a little sleepy. I closed the system panel and slowly drifted off to sleep. The next morning, I gradually woke up. After a quick wash, I walked downstairs. As soon as I reached the first floor, I saw Iron Pillar and the other two minotaurs had already finished breakfast. They were picking up their tools, preparing to head out and work. Iron Pillar, wait a moment. Hearing my voice, the three of them stopped and turned around. Roar? Master, what's wrong? Don't go work today. We're going out to explore. The moment they heard my words, their eyes immediately lit up. Master, where are we going? You'll know when you follow me. Hearing that, Iron Pillar and the others nodded, put down their tools, and waited for me to finish breakfast. I glanced at the bird egg beside the furnace heart. It had not changed at all. Then I looked at the little fox girl. Xiao Xiao, come with us today. You don't need to watch the egg. The little fox girl had just walked out of the kitchen. When she heard that I was taking her outside to explore, her ears immediately stood up. She happily carried the breakfast over to the table. Really? Master, hurry and eat. I've been bored to death staying inside. Today's breakfast was fragrant roasted meat. But knowing that eating too much oil in the morning was uncomfortable, Xiao Xiao had thoughtfully removed most of the fat, leaving only the clean lean meat. We'll bring some food and prepare ourselves. Then we'll set off. Iron Pillar, bring the double-bladed axe I gave you before. After preparing everything, I brought the three minotaurs and Xiao Xiao with me. Riding Little Black, we left the base and headed straight toward the mysterious resource point. Along the way, we crossed mountains and rivers. After traveling for 2 or 3 hours, we followed a small stream at the edge of the forest and finally arrived at an icy river. Looking at the frozen river in front of me, which looked like a giant mirror, I checked the map again. Then I said, the location is on the ice river ahead. Let's go. I gently patted Little Black and prepared to continue forward. But at that moment, Dazhuang's voice suddenly came from behind. Master, I'll wait here for you. I froze for a moment and turned around. What's wrong, Dazhuang? Are you feeling unwell? Dazhuang stood there awkwardly, hesitating. No, Master. I'm just a little afraid of water. So that was the reason. If he didn't want to cross, he could gather resources nearby instead. Just as I was about to agree, Iron Pillar suddenly raised his hand and slapped Dazhuang heavily on the back. Why are you saying you're afraid of water in front of Master? You're embarrassing our Minotaur race. Dazhuang looked extremely wronged. Iron Pillar, stop talking nonsense. Hurry up and follow Master. If you really fall into the water, I'll save you. What are you afraid of? Hearing Iron Pillar's words, Dazhuang looked at me awkwardly. I smiled and said, you don't have to force yourself. You can gather resources nearby if you want. Hearing how considerate I was, Dazhuang felt even more embarrassed. I'm not afraid anymore, Master. Let's go. I didn't say anything else. I simply patted Little Black. Soon, we stepped onto the frozen river. The ice immediately made a crisp cracking sound beneath our feet. It felt as if the entire surface might collapse at any moment. Everyone be careful. The ice here may not be thick enough. Spread out a little. Don't all fall in together. We carefully moved forward. After some time, a vast frozen lake appeared before us. The enormous lake stretched all the way toward the distant mountains. I looked down at the ice beneath my feet. It was already incredibly thick. Forget falling through it. I felt that even building a house on top of it would not be a problem. It was truly magnificent. The entire frozen lake looked like a massive ice mirror. The sunlight reflected from the surface made my eyes hurt slightly. I checked the map again. Soon, I found the location of the mysterious resource point. Following the map, we arrived near the target area. But what appeared before us was still nothing but endless white ice. Strange. Could the resource point be underneath the ice? If I wanted to truly explore it, I would have to break through the ice first. Just as I was thinking about what to do, the system notification suddenly sounded. Ding. Hidden mission completed. Mission: explore mysterious resource point. Mission reward: strange fishing rod. What? The mission is already completed? I quickly opened my system inventory. Sure enough, inside my backpack, I immediately saw the reward item. A strange fishing rod. Name, strange fishing rod. Description, can catch all kinds of strange fish. Daily usage limit, 1 time. I became even more confused. What exactly was a strange fish? Could this fishing rod not catch normal fish? But then again, whenever people mentioned fishing rods, the first thing they thought of was naturally fish. A thought suddenly appeared in my mind. This resource point must be related to fish. And if so, it had to be under this frozen lake. Thinking of this, I immediately called out. Iron Pillar. Dazhuang. Erzwang. Break a hole in the ice here. Roar. Yes, master. I handed the 3 of them pickaxes. The ice on the lake was unbelievably thick. Iron Pillar and the others used all their strength. After a long time, they finally broke through the ice. Master, it's open. With a loud cracking sound, the final layer of ice sank into the water. Through the opening, I could see the deep blue water below. A chill ran through me. This place, it's probably bottomless. Looking at the dark water beneath the ice, I took out the strange fishing rod. I had to admit, this fishing rod was truly strange. It wasn't very long. Its entire body was made of wood, but it was completely black and surprisingly heavy. The huge hook reflected silver light under the sunlight. No matter how I looked at it, it didn't seem like something meant for ordinary fish. I hooked an entire frost insect onto it and prepared to test it. But the moment the fishing line entered the water, before it even fully extended, a terrifying force suddenly pulled from below the ice. I almost lost my grip. Something bit. I tightly held the fishing rod and pulled upward. But the weight of whatever was beneath the ice completely exceeded my expectations. Not only could I not pull it up, I was actually being dragged toward the hole in the ice. Damn, did I catch a cow? I was about to let go of the rod. But at that critical moment, Iron Pillar rushed forward and grabbed the fishing rod. Pull harder. The 2 of us gritted our teeth and pulled together. Finally, we dragged the creature beneath the ice onto the surface. What the hell is this? A massive creature was struggling on the ice. It looked somewhat like a shark from my previous world. But unlike sharks, this creature was covered in thick scales. Its huge mouth was filled with razor-sharp teeth. It looked like a giant meat grinder. Its dorsal fin was as sharp as an ice blade. Name, Juvenile Icefin Shark, Medium Intelligence. Master, be careful. The struggling icefin shark was getting closer and closer to me. Almost instantly, I pulled an axe from my system inventory. But before I could swing it, a pair of huge hands suddenly pulled me behind him. Roar. I'll handle this, master. Iron Pillar had somehow already taken out the double-bladed axe. He charged directly toward the icefin shark. Poochie. The moment the sound rang out, I saw the giant head of the icefin shark split apart under Iron Pillar's double-bladed axe. With a heavy bang, the massive body crashed onto the ice. Its momentum carried it forward, sliding across the frozen surface for several meters before finally coming to a stop. Bright red blood slowly spread across the ice, staining the flawless frozen mirror beneath us. Iron Pillar took 2 heavy breaths, still holding his axe tightly, as he stared cautiously at the dead icefin shark. The surroundings fell completely silent. After a few seconds, the little fox girl was the first to break the silence. Ma? Master? Are you okay? I slowly stood up and waved my hand. I'm fine. Don't worry. Walking toward the icefin shark, I looked carefully at its enormous body. This thing was nearly 3 meters long. Judging by its size, its weight was definitely not something ordinary people could handle. If Iron Pillar and the others weren't here today, with just my own strength, I probably would have had no choice but to abandon this strange fishing rod. I didn't think about it any further. I placed my hand on the icefin shark's body. In the next moment, its corpse was directly stored inside my system inventory. Then my eyes shifted toward the fishing net lying inside my backpack. This was exactly the perfect time to test it. Thinking of this, I took the fishing net out. But the moment it appeared in my hands, I realized something. This fishing net was far larger than I had imagined. It was a standard drag net. The huge mesh connected to thick ropes on both sides. Normally, one side would be fixed, while the other side would be pulled to drag the net through the water. With this size, catching dozens of fish at once would be easy. Even catching hundreds wouldn't be impossible. However, the biggest problem was its weight. If it really caught hundreds of fish, the combined weight would definitely not be something I could pull alone. Thinking about this, I called Iron Pillar over. Iron Pillar, I have another task for you. Hearing my words, Iron Pillar immediately walked over. Master, just tell me what to do. I handed the fishing net to him. Put this into the ice hole. Lower it slowly. Be careful not to let it get tangled. Iron Pillar looked at the strange net in his hands. Although he clearly didn't understand what it was for, as long as it was my order, he would complete it without hesitation. I brought him to the ice hole and demonstrated the method. Iron Pillar quickly understood and copied my movements. All right, start. Everyone gathered around. Iron Pillar slowly lowered the fishing net into the ice hole. The net gradually expanded underwater. Through the clear water, I could even see fish swimming directly into it. This place really has abundant resources. No wonder the fish immediately took the bait when I used the fishing rod. Beside me, Erzhuang looked curiously at the sinking net. Master, what exactly did you throw down? Oh, this? It's called a fishing net. It's used to catch fish. The little fox girl's eyes instantly lit up. She stared at the ice hole excitedly. But soon, Iron Pillar's expression changed. The fishing net in his hands was getting heavier and heavier. Even with his strength, he was starting to struggle. Dezhuang, Erzhuang, come help me. The two bull-headed men immediately rushed forward. Everyone pulled together. The three of them gritted their teeth and began pulling the net upward. Even with all three working together, they could only move it little by little. Seeing this, I knew the harvest was definitely not small. The little fox girl stood nearby anxiously. She wanted to help, but was afraid of causing trouble. I grabbed her little hand and stopped her. Don't worry. Let them handle it. At that moment, the surface of the ice hole began bubbling violently. It looked like the water underneath had started boiling. Then, the fishing net finally broke through the surface. The little fox girl's eyes widened instantly. Master, so many fish. Is this real? The moment the net came out completely, Iron Pillar and the other two finally lost their strength. All three of them collapsed onto the ice. And inside the fishing net, it was a complete harvest. Hundreds of strange fish were struggling desperately. The little fox girl immediately ran over. She looked left and right, completely fascinated. She had probably never seen so many fish in her entire life. Many of these species were completely unfamiliar to her. I walked over with Iron Pillar and the others. Looking at the mountain of fish inside the net, I couldn't help but smile. This fishing net really was worth it. This trip had been an incredible success. I stored all the fish into my inventory. After checking the amount, I was shocked. A total of 361 units of various fish. For the entire base, this amount of food was enough to last for at least half a month. I put away the fishing net. But when I looked at it again, I noticed something was wrong. The originally sturdy net had become full of holes. Name: damaged fishing net. Description: effect greatly reduced. Seeing this, the little fox girl looked disappointed. Master, when we return, I'll try repairing it. It's fine. Leave it to me. I immediately activated the enhancement system. A white light surrounded the fishing net. The next second, the damaged net completely transformed. Name: enhanced fishing net. Description: extremely durable. Nearly indestructible. Greatly reduces the physical strength required during fishing. Looking at the brand new fishing net in my hands, I smiled. As expected, the enhancement system is reliable. Even damaged items can become completely restored as long as they aren't destroyed. The enhanced effect surprised me even more. Not only was it much stronger, but using it also required far less strength. That meant ordinary members of my base could probably use it in the future. I weighed the fishing net in my hand. Indeed, it felt much lighter than before. I wanted to test it again. But when I looked at the darkening sky, I gave up. All right, it's getting late. We should head back. I stored the fishing net away and prepared to return with everyone. After mounting Xiaohei, I tossed it a fish. Humph. Xiaohei happily bit the fish and seemed to gain even more energy. Master, tonight we're going to have a feast. The little fox girl rubbed her mouth excitedly. I saw a really fat fish just now. It must taste amazing. I couldn't help but laugh. Then tonight's dinner depends on you, Xiao Xiao. However, we had barely traveled a short distance. Xiaohei suddenly stopped. It let out a low, uneasy sound. What's wrong, Xiaohei? Could it be? Before I could finish speaking, the scene in front of me completely stunned me. The ice road we had used earlier. At some point, a massive crack had appeared. The crack looked like a bottomless abyss. Standing near it, I could see the deep blue water beneath the ice. and the width of the crack completely destroyed any thought of jumping across. Looking further ahead, I couldn't even see the end. The crack stretched endlessly into the distance. I stared at the scene in disbelief. We came here fine, but now we can't go back. Could it be because Iron Pillar and the others broke through the ice? I looked toward the distant ice surface, then gently patted Xiao He. We'll take a detour. Xiao He, follow along the crack. While moving, I took out my map and carefully checked our location. But after walking for a while, I suddenly realized something. We had already left the mapped area. According to the map, the place we were standing in now was completely covered by fog. Have we already left the unlocked map area? I frowned slightly and looked at the endless cracks stretching across the ice in front of us. Iron Pillar, stay alert. Everyone, be careful. I warned the others. The route ahead was completely unknown. If we went too far, there was even a possibility that we would get lost in this endless frozen wilderness. Fortunately, this massive crack in the ice could serve as a landmark. As long as we followed it, getting lost shouldn't be too easy. I patted Xiao He and signaled it to keep moving forward. After walking for some time, the distant horizon gradually came into view. That is, the shore. My eyes lit up. I patted Xiao He and urged it forward. As we got closer, the forest along the shoreline slowly became clearer. I raised my head and looked at the dim sunset hanging in the sky. It looks like we won't be able to make it back today. The sky was already getting dark. If we continued traveling back, the forest at night would become far more dangerous. The freezing temperature and hidden beasts were not something we could easily handle. The little fox girl leaned against me, cautiously scanning the unfamiliar surroundings. She seemed unusually nervous. Iron Pillar and the other two were the same. They followed closely behind me, gripping their axes tightly. We have to find shelter before night falls. We can only set up camp here tonight. This area was too open. It wasn't suitable for spending the night. If a group of beasts appeared, we could easily become surrounded. At that moment, I noticed the mountain not far away. My first thought was that there might be caves at the foot of the mountain. If we could find a cave, it would be easy to defend and difficult to attack. It would definitely be the best shelter. I rode Xiao He toward the mountain. After arriving at the foot of the mountain, I turned around and said, "Everyone search around. See if there's a cave nearby." Hearing my order, everyone immediately started searching. After a while, "Master, over here. I found a cave." Erzhuang waved excitedly at us. When I arrived in front of the cave, I looked inside carefully. A faint light still reached a small part of the cave, but deeper inside was hidden by complete darkness. I couldn't tell if there was some terrifying creature hiding within. However, this was our only option. Night had already arrived. We didn't have time to search for another shelter. Once the temperature dropped completely, staying outside would mean freezing to death. Even if there was some beast inside this cave, it probably wouldn't be a match for the 3 bull-headed warriors. After thinking it through, I stopped hesitating. Iron Pillar, you go first. Hold your weapon tightly. I followed closely behind him and entered the cave. As the surroundings became darker, I took out a torch from my inventory. After lighting it, the dim flames illuminated the cave walls ahead. At that moment, the little fox girl suddenly grabbed my hand. It seemed like she had sensed something. I turned around, about to ask what was wrong. But before I could speak, crack, a sharp sound came from beneath my feet. It felt like I had stepped on something. I lowered my head. It was a fresh animal skeleton. There was even some unfinished flesh still attached to the bones. And at that exact moment, a bad feeling suddenly rose in my heart. Everyone, be careful. There might be a beast here. I quickly looked around. At first, I saw nothing. But then, something slowly walked into the cave entrance. The moment I saw it, my pupils shrank. Name, Adult Ice Claw Demon Bear. Intelligence, Medium. Health, 5,500. Attack, 520. Agility, 300. Skill, Frost Claw Strike, Freezing Effect. The system notification appeared before my eyes. An Ice Claw Demon Bear. Again, I immediately became serious. Iron Pillar, move behind me if needed. The Ice Claw Demon Bear stared at us with its blood-red eyes. I didn't make any sound. I didn't move either. I hoped this beast would realize that there were too many of us and choose to leave. I still clearly remembered the young Ice Claw Demon Bear we encountered before. Even though it was only a juvenile, it had already caused us considerable trouble. Now this adult one, its strength was definitely on another level. If possible, Avoiding a battle would be the best outcome. Quietly, I pulled out my enhanced hunting bow from my inventory. Iron Pillar stood at the front, holding his double-bladed axe, ready for battle. But the next second, roar! The Ice Claw Demon Bear suddenly charged. It swung its massive claw toward Iron Pillar. A chilling frost spread from its claws. Everyone instantly felt a bone-piercing cold wind rushing toward us. Iron Pillar roared and swung his axe forward. Boom! The axe collided with the bear's claw. The terrifying force sent Iron Pillar stumbling backwards several steps before he managed to stabilize himself. In terms of pure strength, the Ice Claw Demon Bear was clearly superior. However, this attack wasn't completely ineffective. A deep wound appeared on the beast's claw. Iron Pillar had actually injured it. Iron Pillar, we're coming. De Zhuang and Air Zhuang immediately rushed forward with their axes. But unlike Iron Pillar, they didn't attack head-on. Instead, they split up and attacked from both sides. The Ice Claw Demon Bear was surrounded, but it showed no fear. It roared angrily and swung its claws at them. A battle was unavoidable. I pulled back my bowstring. Now I wasn't fighting alone. I had Iron Pillar, and De Zhuang, and Air Zhuang. The four of us together were enough to make this Ice Claw Demon Bear suffer. Iron Pillar and the others surrounded the beast, constantly attacking. The Ice Claw Demon Bear's body was covered in thick fur and muscle. Among their weapons, only Iron Pillar's double-bladed axe could truly damage it. De Zhuang and Air Zhuang's normal axes were only useful for distracting it. Meanwhile, I stayed behind and waited for the right opportunity. Then, I released the arrow. The arrow passed between Iron Pillar and the others. Whoosh! It struck the Ice Claw Demon Bear's body. The beast let out a painful roar. The arrow injured it, but it didn't hit any vital point. The damage was far from fatal. However, that opening was enough. Iron Pillar immediately seized the chance. He charged forward and raised his double-bladed axe. A powerful strike descended toward the bear's head. But an adult Ice Claw Demon Bear was far more agile than its younger counterpart. At the moment the axe was about to land, it twisted its huge body and dodged. Then it slammed directly into Iron Pillar. The impact was terrifying. Iron Pillar took the hit head-on. In an instant, his massive body was sent flying backward. Even his double-bladed axe almost slipped from his hands. Iron Pillar, De Zhuang, and Air Zhuang shouted. They rushed forward immediately, swinging their axes to stop the bear from continuing its attack. I also drew 2 more arrows. Whoosh! Whoosh! Both arrows shot toward the Ice Claw Demon Bear. This time, they struck its neck. The neck was one of the weaker parts of its body. But even so, the beast's powerful muscles protected it. The arrows still failed to cause fatal damage. The Ice Claw Demon Bear let out another furious roar. Then it turned its head. Its blood-red eyes locked onto me. At that moment, in its eyes, I had become the existence it hated and wanted to destroy the most. Before the Ice Claw Demon Bear could make another move, Taizhu had already gotten back on his feet. He stepped forward and blocked the Ice Claw Demon Bear's line of sight. Your opponent is me. The Ice Claw Demon Bear seemed to understand his words. Its crimson eyes locked onto Taizhu, and it let out an enraged roar. It lowered its body, preparing to charge forward. But what the Ice Claw Demon Bear didn't know was that just moments ago, I had already taken out my reinforced arrows. Standing behind Taizhu, I had drawn my bow and knocked an arrow, ready to strike. Taizhu, duck! The moment he heard my command, Taizhu lowered his body without hesitation. After going through so many battles together, the two of us had already developed complete trust and understanding. Whoosh! The arrow left the bowstring and shot straight toward the Ice Claw Demon Bear. The speed of the reinforced arrow was terrifyingly fast. It seemed to tear through the air, arriving in front of the demon bear almost instantly. The creature tried to dodge, but it was too late. The arrow pierced directly through its eye. Roar! The Ice Claw Demon Bear let out a horrifying scream that echoed through the cave. However, I had underestimated its toughness. I had no idea how its bones were formed, but even a reinforced arrow couldn't penetrate its skull completely and kill it instantly. Still, that attack dealt a devastating blow. The Ice Claw Demon Bear completely lost its will to fight. It turned around and fled. Despite its massive body, its explosive speed was surprisingly fast. In just a few seconds, it disappeared into the darkness. I originally thought that losing an eye would drive the ice-clawed demon bear into a frenzy. I had already prepared myself for another fierce battle, but I never expected it to retreat so decisively. Taiju obviously wasn't willing to just watch it escape. He gripped his double-sided axe and was about to chase after it. Taiju, come back. I immediately stopped him. Don't chase it. It's too dangerous outside. Too many unknown factors. We're only staying here for the night. There's no need to start another fight. Hearing my words, Taiju and the others reluctantly stopped. I looked toward the depths of the cave and said, let's continue deeper inside and see if there are any other dangers. Taiju tightened his grip on his weapon and once again walked to the front to clear the path. The group continued deeper into the cave. I patted Taiju's shoulder and asked, how are you feeling? Are you hurt? Taiju patted his chest confidently. Don't worry, master. My body is tougher than you think. If you're injured, tell me immediately. Don't force yourself. Taiju nodded. I then looked at De Zhuang and Air Zhuang. What about you two? Are you all right? We're fine, master. At that moment, Little Fox suddenly noticed something. She gently tugged on my finger and pointed toward the distance. Master, there seems to be a treasure chest over there. Hearing her words, I immediately looked deeper into the cave. Sure enough, within the darkness, a faint glow could be seen flickering in the distance. Let's go take a look. The group continued forward. As we walked deeper, the surrounding space gradually became wider. The flames from the torch illuminated the cave walls, revealing countless massive stone pillars. Only then did I realize that we had unknowingly entered another enormous underground cavern. The faint light Little Fox had noticed was coming from the top of a stone pillar in the center of the cavern. Standing beneath the pillar, I looked upward. I could vaguely see a treasure chest emitting a soft glow. It was sitting on a platform at the top. However, reaching it would clearly require some effort. Master, I'll climb up and bring it down. Air Zhuang rolled up his sleeves and volunteered. But I stopped him. No need. I'll do it myself. I handed the torch to Little Fox. Then I removed my coat and stretched my body. At that moment, Taiju walked over beneath the stone pillar. Master, step on my shoulders. I'll lift you up. I nodded and stepped onto Taiju's shoulders. Slowly, he stood up. With a powerful push from his shoulders, he lifted me upward. Soon, I reached the platform beside the treasure chest. Under the torchlight, I finally saw its true appearance. This treasure chest was completely different from the ones I had found before. First of all, it was much larger. Its exterior was also far more luxurious and delicate. It was hard to imagine how long it had been sealed away here. The chest looked ancient, as if it had been waiting for someone to discover it for countless years. I slowly placed my hand on the treasure chest. The moment I touched it, the chest seemed to sense my presence. It opened by itself. Immediately afterward, a dazzling light burst out from inside. The glow was so intense that, inside the dark cave, I had to close my eyes for a moment. When the light finally faded, I was able to see what was inside. A blueprint made from an ancient piece of parchment. The moment I touched it, the system notification sounded. Ding! Congratulations! You have unlocked the hidden building, Minotaur Lair. Name, Minotaur Lair. Description, a habitat favored by minotaurs. Every day, it will attract an uncertain number of minotaurs to settle inside. Listening to the system notification, I froze. My mind began racing. A hidden building, Minotaur Lair. According to the description, this building could attract minotaurs to join my territory. That meant, as long as I constructed this Minotaur Lair, my base could continuously recruit more Minotaur members, with reliable workers like them. I can't believe it. I shook my head. I couldn't even imagine what this would mean. My territory would no longer be focused only on survival. It would be about development, expansion, building something truly powerful. I stared at the stone walls of the cave, my mind drifting. I almost forgot what the system had called me. That's right. The word was Lord. I sat there on the stone platform for a long time, lost in thought, until Taiju and the others called out from below. Master, are you okay? Did something happen? I finally came back to my senses. I'm fine. I'm coming down. I returned along the same route. Taiju stood below and safely caught me, placing me back on the ground. Standing there, I couldn't suppress the smile spreading across my face. I patted Taiju's shoulder excitedly. Ha. When we return this time, I'll give you all a surprise. Taiju looked confused. Master? What surprise? I simply waved my hand mysteriously. Don't ask. You'll know when the time comes. I had successfully raised everyone's curiosity, but no one asked further. Following the original plan, we found a relatively flat area inside the cave. I built a small fire. Little Fox took out the food. Everyone gathered around the flames, warming themselves while eating and recovering their strength. After filling our stomachs, we each found a comfortable position and laid down beside the fire. However, after sleeping on the soft beds inside the base for so long, the cold stone ground felt extremely uncomfortable. It seemed we had become too accustomed to living comfortably recently. Soon, everyone slowly fell asleep. Time passed quietly. Before we realized it, night had already fallen completely. Outside the cave, a white mist slowly drifted inside. The flames of the fire gradually weakened. In my sleep, I suddenly shivered. Slowly, I opened my eyes. Damn, it's freezing. I tightened my clothes around my body, but the bone-chilling cold still made me tremble uncontrollably. Seeing that the campfire in front of me was about to die out, I quickly took out several pieces of wood from my inventory and threw them into the flames. At that moment, the system notification suddenly rang. Warning! Warning! The Lord has entered a hypothermia state. Health will continue to decrease. Current HP, 49/100. Another hypothermia warning? Even inside this cave, I still can't withstand the freezing cold of the night. Hearing my voice, everyone slowly woke up. For the orc races, although the environment was cold, it wasn't enough to threaten their lives. Master, are you alright? The little fox girl looked at me with worry. I curled up beside the fire, hugging my knees as my body trembled from the cold. I'm fine. I'm just a little cold. Hearing my words, everyone immediately got up and gathered around me. But it was useless. Even when all of us huddled together, we still couldn't warm my freezing body. Luckily, I have modern technology. Otherwise, I might really have died here tonight. Looking at my rapidly decreasing health bar, I searched through my system inventory. Soon, I found a reinforced heat patch and stuck it onto my body. My HP stopped dropping. A gentle warmth slowly spread throughout my body. Although I was still feeling cold, at least I was no longer shaking like a leaf. However, spending the night away from the camp made me fully understand one thing. After sunset, humans simply couldn't survive in this wilderness. Without the protection of the furnace core, humans would probably turn into frozen statues out here. Thankfully, I still had some heat patches left from before. With everyone gathered together for warmth, we finally endured the freezing night. The next morning, I woke everyone up early and prepared to continue our journey back. We needed to return as soon as possible. I had no idea how much time we would waste along the way. I mounted Xiao He and followed the path in my memory, returning the way we came. Soon, we arrived back at the endless frozen lake. But when we reached the area, I suddenly noticed something strange. The huge crack on the ice had disappeared. What happened? I rubbed my eyes and carefully examined the surface. The place where the crack had been was now completely covered by smooth ice again. Although it was unbelievable, if the crack could suddenly appear, then perhaps the movement of the ice could also cause it to naturally close again. I scratched my head and decided not to think about it anymore. Now that the ice had returned to normal, there was no need for us to take a detour. We could simply return by the original route. The problem was that yesterday we had followed the crack. Now that the crack was gone, I couldn't clearly determine the direction anymore. Fortunately, Xiao He still remembered the way. I gently patted his head. Xiao He, rely on your memory. Take us back. Xiao He let out a proud sound and began walking forward confidently. After traveling for a while, I opened the map to check our location. Thankfully, we had already returned to the explored area. I finally relaxed. Now there was no need to worry about getting lost. Xiao He, you're really reliable. I patted his head. Humph. Xiao He seemed to understand my praise and proudly raised his head. But at that moment, something unusual caught my attention. On the smooth ice ahead, there was a strange bump. I narrowed my eyes and looked carefully. Only then did I realize. It was actually a treasure chest frozen inside the ice. I immediately patted Xiao He and hurried over. Knocking on the thick layer of ice surrounding it, I couldn't help but sigh. This thing is frozen solid. Tirju, dig it out for me. Yes, master. Tirju immediately ran over with a pickaxe. After only a few strikes, the treasure chest was finally removed from the ice. I rubbed my hands excitedly and opened it. Inside was an item that looked like a piece of worn-out cloth. Name: old cloak. Description: although damaged and full of holes, wearing it can still help maintain body temperature to a certain extent. Maintains body temperature? Not bad. I immediately put the old cloak on. However, perhaps because I hadn't worn it long enough, I didn't feel much difference. Aside from the fact that cold air could still pass through the holes. This thing is pretty breathable. I took off the cloak and activated my enhancement system. A white light instantly surrounded the old cloak. After the light disappeared, the transformation was complete. Name: protection cloak. Description: a sturdy and warm cloak. Wearing it allows the wearer to maintain normal body temperature. The enhanced cloak looked completely different. It was thick, durable, and gave off a feeling of warmth just by looking at it. I put it back on. The moment the cloak wrapped around my body, it felt as if I had returned to the range protected by the furnace core. Warmth spread through me instantly. Comfortable. Thank goodness for the enhancement system. Without it, this thing would just be a useless rag. Why didn't I get this treasure earlier? Then I wouldn't have wasted a heat patch last night. Wearing the protection cloak, I led everyone back toward our base. After half a day of traveling, we finally arrived home at noon. Looking at the distant base, Zhu and the others couldn't help but sigh. We're finally home. This is the first time I've missed home so much. Everyone walked through the gates. The first thing I did was check the cold potatoes growing in the plantation. After adding some fertilizer, I quickly entered the house and went to the furnace core room. The bird egg was still incubating peacefully. However, there was still no sign of change. At this moment, Zhu and the others also entered the room, looking exhausted. I looked at them and smiled. Come on, let's take a bath. Hearing that, Zhu and the others naturally had no objections. Meanwhile, Xiaohei disappeared somewhere to sleep the moment he entered the house. We headed toward the bath area. The little fox girl went straight to the kitchen to prepare food. She had missed the kitchen of the base terribly, especially the process of cooking in front of the flames. Watching fresh ingredients slowly transform into delicious meals under her hands, and seeing the happy expression on my face after eating, that was the moment when she felt everything she did was worth it. Meanwhile, inside the bathhouse, I sat comfortably in the warm water with Zhu and the others. The exhaustion and tension accumulated over the past 2 days slowly disappeared. As I had told them before, taking a bath truly was one of the most comfortable things in the world. Even without me teaching them, Zhu and the others somehow learned the perfect, lazy bath posture. They were completely relaxed. With nothing else to do, I thought I might as well check the World Channel and see what was happening outside. World Chat. But the moment I opened the World Channel, a video immediately appeared in front of me. I casually clicked on it, but the scene that followed made my stomach churn. In the video, a middle-aged man was desperately running for his life. He was shouting toward the camera while fleeing. Behind him were what appeared to be the corpses of his companions. And behind him, a fully armed orc army was slowly approaching. These orcs wore wooden armor and carried various weapons. However, the lighting was too dark, making it impossible to identify their exact race. Help! Can anyone help me? But the man never finished his sentence. Because in the next second, slash, a sound of flesh being torn apart echoed. The man's head was instantly cut off. The screen went black. The video ended. As the video ended, the World Channel fell into a brief silence. The endless stream of messages suddenly stopped. Then, in the next second, the entire World Channel exploded. Is this an orc tribe? How can they be this cruel? Holy crap! Are there natives in this world besides us? Are you stupid? Haven't you seen friendly beastmen before? Aren't they natives too? Yeah, there are 2 minotaurs in my group. I never expected there to be such brutal creatures among them. Looking at the endless discussions in the World Channel, I felt my heart tighten. I had never witnessed a scene like that before. Even now, when I recalled the footage, I still felt a little sick. However, someone in the World Channel had pointed out something important. Those beastmen should belong to some kind of tribe. They had organization, equipment, and discipline. Most importantly, they showed absolutely no mercy toward humans. I wonder if there are other tribes near my territory. After calming down, I decided that I needed to start preparing my defenses. That video had shown me only a small glimpse of this world. This was an extremely cold world where the weak were prey for the strong. The races that managed to survive here were definitely not ordinary creatures. Take the Minotaurs, for example. Although Iron Pillar and the others had honest and simple personalities, their strength was undeniable. If someone tried to invade their territory, their powerful bodies would not just be used for farming. Iron Pillar alone was enough to prove that the Minotaur race possessed terrifying combat potential. With a thought, I opened the system interface and checked the blacksmithing list. My eyes immediately locked onto the double-barreled shotgun blueprint. It had already been unlocked, but I still lacked enough materials to craft it. I probably don't have much time left. As my territory continues to expand, sooner or later, some tribes will notice this place. I made up my mind. I had to create this firearm as soon as possible. In a situation like this, only having a gun in my hands would allow me to truly feel safe. I closed the system panel and looked toward Iron Pillar, De Zhuang, and Air Zhuang, who were still soaking in the bath. Iron Pillar, De Zhuang, Air Zhuang. I want to ask you guys something. Hearing my voice, Iron Pillar sat up from the water and looked at me. Master, what is it? Besides your Minotaur tribe, are there any other tribes that are highly aggressive? The moment I asked this question, the relaxed expressions on De Zhuang and Air Zhuang's faces instantly disappeared. The two Minotaurs stood up from the bath almost at the same time. I could clearly see panic and tension on their faces. So there really are tribes like that. I narrowed my eyes. Of course, that makes sense. De Zhuang was the first to speak. Besides tribes like ours, who rely on farming and labor to survive, there are other races that do not work at all. The only way they survive is by taking from others. And the tribe that Air Zhuang and I came from. At this point, De Zhuang's voice stopped. It seemed like some painful memory had resurfaced. He couldn't continue. I walked over and patted his shoulder. I understand. From today onward, we need to arm ourselves. Only then can we protect our territory and our companions. Hearing my words, Iron Pillar also stood up. Understood, Master. I will train myself even harder. I looked at De Zhuang and Air Zhuang and comforted them. One day, those guys will pay for what they have done. Don't worry, De Zhuang, Air Zhuang. The two Minotaurs clenched their fists. Their eyes became firm once again. We understand, Master. The same thing will never happen again. Looking at everyone in front of me, I suddenly realized something. I seemed to be becoming more and more like a true lord. In this world, if I wanted to protect my territory, if I wanted to protect my companions, I had to become strong enough. All right, we've soaked long enough. Let's go. I stood up and led the three Minotaurs to put on their clothes before heading toward the dining hall. As soon as we entered, Little Fox happened to walk out of the kitchen carrying food. A huge roasted fish was placed on a plate. She smiled and looked at me. Master, Little made grilled ice lake fish for you. This one is definitely more delicious than any grilled fish you've ever eaten before. I guarantee it. I didn't want to continue worrying about the possible dangers waiting in the future. I changed my expression and walked toward her. I can already tell it's going to be delicious. Come on, Little. I can't wait anymore. Everyone gathered around the table and started eating. The meal quickly turned into a feast. All the exhaustion and energy we had lost during our night in the cave were replenished. After finishing the meal, I wiped my mouth and told everyone to return to their rooms and rest. I also went upstairs to my bedroom. Opening the construction system, I began checking what buildings I could create. Currently, if my camp was attacked by wild beasts, it would still be manageable. But if an organized beastman army came here, my camp would be like a turtle flipped onto its back, completely helpless. My eyes immediately landed on the watchtower. Then I noticed the hidden building, the Minotaur nest. But when I looked again, I discovered something unexpected. The wall construction option had changed. It could be upgraded. After checking the preview, I saw that the upgraded walls would have a metallic surface. They looked far stronger than the current wooden ones. I made my decision. Tomorrow, I needed to start expanding the camp. I have to prepare the defensive measures as soon as possible. I closed the system panel. For now, I decided to throw all my worries aside. Tomorrow's problems can wait until tomorrow. After a day of traveling and the exhaustion from the previous night, my eyelids quickly became heavy. Before I knew it, night had passed. The next morning, I slowly opened my eyes. After quickly washing up, I walked into the living room. After spending one night outside in the cave, I truly understood how comfortable my camp was. Looking at Iron Pillar and the others eating winter sunflower seeds in the dining hall, I called out, Iron Pillar, I have today's tasks arranged for you. Hearing my voice, The three minotaurs put down their food and walked over. Master, just tell us what to do. Today, the three of you will go to the canyon and collect iron ore with all your strength. Right now, I wasn't lacking iron ore. The reason I still sent Iron Pillar and the others mining was because I planned to exchange the iron ore through the trading system. After all, in this frozen land, the most valuable resource I could currently gather was iron ore. Understood, Master. The three minotaurs immediately grabbed their tools and left the camp. The morning passed quickly. I put down my teacup and opened my system inventory. After a morning of mining, Iron Pillar and the others had gathered a considerable amount of iron ore. I switched to the trading system. Then I listed most of the iron ore for exchange. The price was set at a ratio of 1 iron ore for 10 units of other resources. After the blizzard, the trading market had gradually returned to normal. Currently, iron ore was still one of the most valuable materials. My price was not unreasonable. I only wanted to complete trades quickly. I needed enough resources to build the structures I currently required. After some time passed, I checked the resources inside my inventory. Looking at the massive amount of supplies stored inside the system backpack, I couldn't help but smile. Inventory remaining: wood, 4829 stone, 14271 iron ore, 1321 coal, 782. Having some business sense really makes a difference. If I had continued collecting resources like before, without any planning, who knows how long it would have taken me to gather this much. With enough resources now available, I walked out of the house. My first goal was to build the watchtower and complete the system task. I opened the construction system and selected the watchtower. Name: Watchtower. Construction requirements: 70 wood, 40 stone, 40 iron ore. Confirm construction. The required materials were nothing more than a drop in the ocean compared to what I currently possessed. Without even blinking, I directly clicked confirm. A bright white light suddenly appeared around the outer walls. The next moment, a towering structure appeared beside the wall. A watchtower had been completed. At the same time, the system notification sounded. Ding! Congratulations, host, you have completed the watchtower construction task. Reward: 10 expos. I walked over to the wall and looked up at the watchtower. The tower was over 10 meters tall. Torches were attached along the outer walls, illuminating the surroundings. The interior space was also quite spacious. Even Iron Pillar and the others would not feel cramped standing inside. Not bad. I nodded with satisfaction. Once I taught Iron Pillar and the others how to use bows, this watchtower would become extremely useful. When a beast tide arrived, they could stand above the walls and attack enemies from a distance. Just then, another system notification appeared. Construction system: weapon armory unlocked. I directly closed the system panel. I decided to check the new building later when I had more time. Now the camp has resources, and I have a watchtower. The next step is to increase the number of people in my territory. And when talking about manpower, there was one building that I was especially looking forward to: the Minotaur Nest. I opened the construction interface. Name: Minotaur Nest. Description: a nest loved by minotaurs. Every day, it will attract an uncertain number of minotaurs to come and settle. Construction requirements: wood, 200 stone, 200 iron ore, 60. Confirm construction. Without hesitation, I clicked confirm. In the empty area of my base, a bright white light suddenly burst into existence. Soon, the light faded. A strange building appeared before my eyes. At first, I was extremely excited. But after taking a closer look, I fell silent. The appearance was honestly a little difficult to describe. How should I put it? It looked like a dirt fortress randomly piled together on a beach. The so-called Minotaur Nest was basically a giant mud castle. Just looking at it was enough to understand how ugly it was. Although I hadn't expected the Minotaur race to have a particularly advanced sense of aesthetics, this building was still a little too outrageous. It directly lowered the overall appearance of my entire base. Wait, it can actually do this? I suddenly noticed something. On the construction panel, the Minotaur Nest had an option called Building Style. Curious, I clicked it. A customization panel appeared in front of me. Seeing this thoughtful feature, I couldn't help but smile. Of course, it's a system-made building. It's really convenient. I carefully considered my options. Finally, I selected a style that matched my territory. The moment I clicked confirm, another system notification appeared. Building style: additional cost: wood, 50 stone, 50 iron ore, 20. Seriously? Changing the appearance requires extra materials too. I couldn't help but complain. Fortunately, the additional cost wasn't much. And honestly, the materials were worth spending. I clicked confirm. The white light once again surrounded the Minotaur nest. In the blink of an eye, its entire appearance underwent a complete transformation. The new Minotaur nest looked more like a two-story dormitory building. Perhaps to match the Minotaur's preferences, the system had added some tribal elements into the modern design. Although it had a modern structure, it still carried a wild and primitive atmosphere. Now this actually looks decent. Iron Pillar and the others will definitely like it. I nodded with satisfaction. Now I only needed to wait and see how effective this building really was. After building the watchtower and the Minotaur nest, I decided to check the newly unlocked weapon armory. Name: Weapon Armory. Construction requirements: 100 wood, 100 stone, 10 iron ore. Confirm construction? Perfect. Let's build it too. I clicked confirm. Another flash of white light appeared. After seeing so many construction effects today, I couldn't help but rub my eyes. Soon, the weapon armory was completed beside the Minotaur nest. I pushed open the door. Inside, the armory was completely empty. There were only a few weapon racks on both sides. In the center were 2 or 3 tables. Other than that, there was nothing else. I need to create some weapons and fill this place up. I had always suffered from a lack of firepower. Having more weapons was never a bad thing. Leaving the armory, I took a deep breath and stretched my body. Today's construction is basically done. After working for half the day, I felt slightly tired. I decided to return to my bedroom and rest for a while. But just as I went upstairs and returned to my room, before I could even lie down on the bed, a loud voice suddenly came from the courtyard outside. So big, if I wasn't mistaken, that was Little Fox's voice. What happened? Is something wrong? Confused, I walked to the window and looked outside. I didn't see Little Fox. Instead, I was attracted by the sight of my territory. Earlier, I had been too busy constructing buildings and hadn't carefully observed the changes. But after adding 3 more structures, my territory had expanded outward once again. Looking at the changes around me, I suddenly fell into memories. When I first arrived in this frozen world, I only had a tiny wooden house that was barely a few square meters. And from that little broken house, step by step, my territory had grown into what it was now. A place as large as a football field. Looking at the sturdy walls surrounding the territory, the towering watchtower, and the various buildings inside the camp, I suddenly felt emotional. At this moment, I finally looked a little like a true lord. But this is still not enough. I wasn't satisfied with what I had achieved. My goal was simple. I wanted to survive in this world. No, I wanted to live better than I ever could in the civilized world. Wait, I forgot something important. Where is Little? I looked around from the window, but couldn't find her. So I quickly went downstairs and returned to the courtyard. Little, where are you? I searched around the yard. Hearing my voice, Little Fox soon appeared. Master, I'm here. Our territory has become so huge. Seeing that she was safe, I finally relaxed. Come on, let's go take a look at the new buildings I built. I nodded at the Little Fox girl's words. All right. Don't panic. Looking at the tiny ice feather eagle sleeping peacefully in her arms, I couldn't help but laugh. Although it might have mistaken you for its mother, that's actually a good thing. The Little Fox girl blinked. Good thing, yes. I walked closer and carefully observed the young ice feather eagle. In this world, a tamed beast's loyalty is extremely important. If it recognizes you from birth, then it will naturally have a stronger bond with you. Hearing this, the Little Fox girl looked at the little creature in her arms again. The panic in her eyes gradually disappeared, replaced by a hint of happiness. Then, I'll take good care of it. I smiled. That's right. After all, it's now one of our companions. The little ice feather eagle seemed to sense our voices. Its tiny wings moved slightly, and it let out a soft cry. J.A. The Little Fox girl immediately lowered her voice. Shoo, it's sleeping. Seeing how careful she was, I shook my head helplessly. It seemed that from today onward, there would be another little guy in the territory. After leaving the room, I returned to the main hall. There were still many things that needed to be done. The territory was developing faster and faster. But the stronger it became, the more attention it would attract. The appearance of the brutal orc tribe had already reminded me. This frozen world was not as peaceful as I originally imagined. I needed more strength, more weapons, More defenses. Only then could I protect everything I had built. I opened the system panel again. The first thing I checked was the upgraded crafting table. After the upgrade, many new functions had been unlocked, especially the smelting system. Steel. This was something I urgently needed. The enhanced steel axe and steel pickaxe had already proven their value. The gathering efficiency was increased by an entire level. If I could equip Iron Pillar and the others with these tools, the speed of collecting resources would increase dramatically. I looked at my remaining iron ore. Fortunately, I had accumulated enough resources recently. Without hesitation, I started smelting. Smelting material, ordinary steel. Required, iron ore times 10. Output, steel times 1. Rows of system notifications appeared. Soon, enough steel was produced. I immediately began crafting new equipment. A steel axe, a steel pickaxe, one set for myself, one set for Iron Pillar, Dazhuang, and Air Zhuang. The newly crafted tools looked completely different from the old ones. The surface was smooth. The edges were sharper. They looked much more like real weapons than simple survival tools. Of course, I still had plenty of enhancement opportunities. There was no reason not to use them. Enhance. A flash of white light covered the tools. When the light disappeared, the steel equipment had undergone another transformation. I picked up the steel axe and checked the system information. Enhanced steel axe. Effect. Collect 1 unit of wood every 1.5 minutes. I then checked the pickaxe. Enhanced steel pickaxe. Effect. Collect 1 unit of mineral every 1.5 minutes. I couldn't help but smile. Not bad. When Iron Pillar and the others return, they can replace their old tools. Compared to before, this is basically a complete upgrade. Just as I was imagining the future development of the territory, a sudden shout came from outside. Wait, don't move. Master, Master, come quickly. I froze. What happened now? The little fox girl had been surprisingly excited all day. I quickly stored the tools into my system inventory and followed the sound. Soon, I arrived at the furnace core room. The little fox girl was standing there with a shocked expression. What happened, Xiao Xiao? She pointed at the furnace core. Her mouth opened slightly, but she couldn't say anything. I walked forward and checked. Then I finally understood. The bird egg that had been placed here for so long had hatched. However, the creature in front of me didn't look like the majestic eagle I had imagined. Instead, it looked like a tiny featherless chick. Its appearance was honestly a little strange. But when I saw the system information, my expression changed. Name, young ice feather eagle, tamed. Loyalty, 100. An ice feather eagle? So that egg actually contained an ice feather eagle. GAA. The tiny creature flapped its small wings and cried toward the little fox girl. Strangely, the little fox girl seemed to understand what it meant. She carefully approached and touched its small belly with her finger. Are you hungry? GAA. The ice feather eagle immediately became excited. It waved its wings harder. It was obvious. It was hungry. But what should such a small creature eat? Meat? Fish? Those things were probably still too difficult for it. At that moment, the little fox girl suddenly took something out. A frostworm. Hee. Your first meal after coming into this world. This is called a frostworm. It's delicious. I looked at the huge frostworm in her hand. Then I looked at the tiny ice feather eagle. Xiao Xiao. That frostworm is almost bigger than its head. How is it supposed to swallow that? The little fox girl froze. Then she quickly nodded. Right? I forgot. She immediately carried the frostworm toward the kitchen. After cutting it into small pieces, she carefully fed it to the little ice feather eagle. The little creature seemed to love the food. It happily swallowed every piece. After eating enough, the ice feather eagle finally calmed down. It curled up in the little fox girl's arms and slowly fell asleep. The little fox girl didn't move at all. She just gently touched its tiny body with her finger. Watching this scene, I couldn't help but tease her. Xiao Xiao, you might be in trouble. The little fox girl looked up. Trouble? I smiled. This little ice feather eagle probably saw you first after hatching. So, it might have already considered you its mother. The little fox girl's eyes widened. What? Master, I'm not ready for this. The little fox girl looked complicated for a moment, completely unsure of what to do. After all, she had never taken care of a bird before. She had no idea what she should feed it, how to raise it, or what she should do if something went wrong. Just when she was worrying about it, she suddenly thought of something. She raised her head and looked at me. Master, I have a question. If it saw me first and thought I was its mother, then after it saw you, does that mean you are its father? The little fox girl's face turned slightly red as she said this. I was stunned. Would that happen? To be honest, I really didn't know much about how these creatures recognize their parents. But after thinking about it carefully, that definitely isn't the case. Since it likes eating frostworms, then taking care of it will be your responsibility from now on. When it grows bigger, you won't need to look after it all the time. Hearing my words, the little fox girl still looked a little worried. However, she eventually nodded. All right, master. I'll do my best. I smiled. With that, the little ice feather eagle officially became another member of our territory. As night slowly arrived, Iron Pillar and the other two minotaurs finally returned from the canyon. But the moment they stood outside the entrance of the territory, all three of them froze. Looking at the huge base in front of them, they were completely stunned. Iron Pillar, did we go the wrong way? One of the minotaurs asked in confusion. Iron Pillar had already gotten somewhat used to this. After all, he had personally watched the territory expand little by little. This must be something Master built. Let's go inside and see. Although Iron Pillar knew this was their home, he still couldn't help swallowing nervously when he looked at the towering walls and the watchtower standing above them. The pressure coming from the huge structure was impossible to ignore. Just as the three minotaurs were standing there in shock, my voice came from inside the territory. Iron Pillar, what are you three doing at the entrance? Dinner is ready. Hearing my voice, Iron Pillar and the others quickly walked inside. But after entering the territory, they were once again shocked. The wide open land, the newly built buildings, the powerful defensive structures. Everything was completely different from before. Their eyes kept moving around, unable to hide their amazement. Then, they suddenly noticed a building not far from the main base. A strange feeling appeared in their hearts. Almost instinctively, the three minotaurs were drawn toward it, especially Dazhuang and Erzhuang. The moment they saw the building, their bodies trembled slightly. It was a feeling they couldn't explain. It was as if something deep inside their blood was responding. Although the appearance of the building was completely different from the traditional Minotaur architecture they remembered, that feeling could not be wrong. Erzhuang excitedly grabbed Dazhuang's arm. Big brother, is this something Master built? Dazhuang didn't answer. He was too emotional to speak. His hands slowly touched the door of the Minotaur nest. His fingers trembled slightly. Countless memories buried deep in his mind began to surface. The tribe, his homeland, everything he had lost. At this moment, it all came flooding back. Iron Pillar was not as emotional as the other two, but even he was affected. Looking at the building in front of him, he seemed to remember something from his past. Regardless of their different reactions, there was one thing they all agreed on. They loved this building. Tonight, they decided to move in. Living here gave them an indescribable feeling of comfort. After dinner, Iron Pillar and the other two Minotaurs immediately went to the Minotaur nest. Meanwhile, I stayed behind. There was still something important I needed to solve. The double-barreled shotgun. I opened the trading system. I hope I get lucky today. Maybe someone has the materials I need. After upgrading the crafting table, I could now produce steel myself. I already had some oak stored away. Right now, there was only one material missing. Flint. I searched the trading system, but the result was disappointing. No flint. Not even one listing. What's going on? Is flint really that rare? Thinking about where flint might appear, I could only think of two possibilities. Treasure chests, or near mineral deposits. Suddenly, I thought of someone. Wait. Feng Tian. The volcanic region where he was located should have this kind of material. Without hesitation, I opened my friend list. I found Feng Tian and sent him a private message. Are you there? I need some flint. Do you have any? Soon, I received a reply. Brother Su. What a coincidence. I actually found some yesterday. The next moment, Feng Tian directly sent me 10 pieces of flint. I stared at the trade notification. I honestly didn't expect him to actually have it. And I didn't expect him to give it to me so quickly. It seemed that helping him before had been the right choice. I sent him some coal in return. Take these. If you encounter any trouble, contact me. I didn't want my little ally to disappear for no reason. Besides, I still needed him to help me obtain rare minerals in the future. With all the materials finally gathered, I returned to the crafting table. The moment I selected the double-barreled shotgun blueprint, the system notification appeared. Name, double-barreled shotgun. Description, a powerful shotgun. Magazine capacity, 4 rounds. Slow reload speed. Required materials. Oak times 5, steel times 5, flint times 5. Craft? Yes/no. I immediately pressed confirm. Craft. The crafting table began making metallic noises. Clang, clang, clang. A moment later, a brand new double-barreled shotgun appeared on the table. I stared at it. A smile slowly appeared on my face. Now this is what you call a man's romance. The metallic body reflected the light. The two dark barrels looked especially intimidating. Even though it was just lying there quietly, it carried a unique sense of power. I carefully picked up the shotgun. For me, this was a historic moment. In my previous life, I had never truly touched a firearm. Even an ordinary hunting rifle was something I had only seen from a distance. I had only watched weapons like this through screens. But now, it was in my hands. However, just as I opened the shotgun to inspect it, I suddenly froze. Wait, I have the gun. But where are the bullets? Without ammunition, this weapon was nothing more than an expensive piece of metal. I quickly opened the crafting table again. Surprisingly, the shotgun blueprint was still flashing. I clicked on it. A new recipe appeared. Shotgun ammunition. Required materials. Gunpowder times 1, iron ore times 1. Gunpowder. I frowned. Where was I supposed to get that? I searched through the crafting system again. Sure enough, a new material category had appeared. I opened it. Gunpowder. Required materials. Saltpeter times 1, sulfur ore times 1, charcoal times 1. Looking at the new recipe, I fell silent. Sulfur ore? I already had some. Charcoal? That could be produced by burning wood. But where do I find saltpeter? I immediately opened the trading system and searched. Nothing. Again, nothing. No matter how I searched, I couldn't find any saltpeter. In the end, I had no choice but to give up temporarily. The shotgun was completed, but without bullets. I could only store it inside my system inventory for now. The firearm issue had been temporarily settled. Next, I opened the crafting table again. This time, I planned to create 2 battle axes for Dazhuang and Erzhuang. After all, if danger really came one day, everyone in my territory needed the ability to fight. I clicked the craft button directly, and 2 battle axes soon appeared in front of me. However, these ordinary axes looked rather shabby. The handles didn't seem very sturdy, and the blades were far from sharp. But luckily, I have the enhancement system. I raised my hand and enhanced the 2 battle axes one after another. A white glow enveloped them. When the light faded, 2 incredibly sharp double-edged axes appeared in my hands. Holding the axes, I walked toward the Minotaur lair. Tai Tai, come down for a moment. The 3 Minotaurs inside their room heard my voice. They immediately stood up and walked toward me. Mu? Master, is there something you need this late at night? Come take a look at this. I tossed the battle axes in my hands toward Dazhuang and Erzhuang. The 2 Minotaurs quickly caught them. The moment they saw the sharp, double-edged axes in their hands, their eyes widened. They couldn't take their gaze away. Master, these are for us? The 2 of them had seen Tai Tai using this kind of double-edged battle axe before. They had been extremely envious. They had even dreamed about owning one someday. But they never expected that Master would actually give them one today. And each of them received their own. Of course, they're yours. Take good care of them. When Tai Tai has time, let him teach you how to use them. Tai Tai patted the shoulders of the 2 Minotaurs. Train with me tomorrow. Using this kind of axe requires some skill. At that moment, Dazhuang and Erzhuang looked at each other. It was as if they had made an important decision. The next second, both of them suddenly knelt on one knee before me. Master, my brother and I will follow you for the rest of our lives. I walked over and patted their shoulders. All right, get up. It's late. Go rest. Tomorrow is another busy day. After leaving the Minotaur lair, I returned to the house. The moment I stepped inside, I saw Xiao Xiao sitting beside the dining table, feeding the young ice feather eagle frost worms. No matter how many times I looked at it, this little ice feather eagle was still unbelievably ugly. Its body was completely bald, with only a few tiny featherless strands sticking out. But I could tell Xiao Xiao really liked it. I walked over to the table and gently touched the little eagle's wing with my finger. Then I picked up a piece of frostworm meat and prepared to feed it. The little guy immediately opened its mouth when it saw the food. But just as it was about to bite down, I quickly pulled my hand back. The little eagle missed completely. Its tiny head bumped straight into Xiao Xiao's finger. It seemed to realize that I had deliberately teased it. The ice feather eagle immediately turned toward me, opened its tiny beak, and protested loudly. GAA. Seeing this, I couldn't help but laugh. Oh, a little thing the size of my palm, but your temper isn't small at all. All right. I won't tease you anymore. Xiao Xiao, you keep feeding it. Okay, master. Leave it to me. I handed the frost worm back to Xiao Xiao and went upstairs to sleep. Sure enough, a soft and comfortable bed was still the best. Not long after lying down, I fell into a deep sleep. The night passed quietly. Before I knew it, morning arrived. I slowly woke up and stretched lazily. Another brand new day had begun. I got out of bed and walked to the window. Taking a deep breath of fresh air, I immediately felt much more awake. The weather today was surprisingly good. Looks like I would have to get busy again. Today, I must find some saltpeter. I was just about to go downstairs for breakfast when I suddenly noticed something unusual. There were several figures standing near the entrance of the camp. It was Tai Tai and the other 2 minotaurs. They were standing outside the gate, holding their double-edged axes, looking extremely alert. Could there be enemies? I didn't think too much. I immediately took my hunting bow out of my system inventory and prepared to help. When I reached downstairs, I saw Xiao Xiao sitting at the table, playing with the ice feather eagle in her arms. Seeing me come down, she quickly stood up. Master, breakfast is all ready. You stay inside the house. Don't come out. I interrupted her directly and rushed outside. Xiao Xiao was stunned by my reaction, but she quickly realized something must have happened outside. She hurriedly carried the ice feather eagle into her arms and hid in the kitchen. Meanwhile, I had already arrived at the gate. Only then did I realize. The enemies that had made Tai Tai and the others so cautious were actually 2 minotaurs. Compared to Taidi's serious expression, these 2 minotaurs looked completely confused. They looked like children who had accidentally done something wrong and been caught. I also noticed that both of them had injuries on their bodies. Their expressions were exhausted, and their spirits were low. It seemed they had suffered some kind of hardship before coming here. I looked at Tai Tai. What happened? Master, early this morning, when we just woke up, we saw these 2 sneaking around outside the gate, trying to secretly enter the camp. After hearing Taidi's explanation, I looked at the 2 minotaurs. Honestly, the words sneaking around really didn't seem suitable for them. At that moment, one of the minotaurs immediately explained. We didn't mean to sneak in. We came from the forest in the distance. We don't even know why, but somehow we ended up here. And right then, I suddenly understood. The minotaur lair I built yesterday, wasn't its effect to attract wild minotaurs to settle here every day? This had to be the effect of that hidden building. A wave of excitement surged through me. I didn't expect it to work so quickly. I immediately put away my hunting bow and spoke to Tai Tai and the others. Misunderstanding. This is all a misunderstanding. Put your weapons away. Misunderstanding. Tai Tai and the other 2 minotaurs looked at me in confusion. I didn't explain further. Instead, I walked forward and helped the 2 injured minotaurs stand up. I'm sorry. They were too cautious and misunderstood you. The 2 minotaurs were surprised. They never expected my attitude to change so quickly. They originally wanted to leave and ignore everything. But for some reason, this camp still carried an inexplicable attraction to them. I looked at them and asked, "Why did you come here?" The 2 minotaurs hesitated for a moment. Then one of them finally spoke. "Can we join your camp?" They couldn't resist that strange feeling drawing them here. They could only ask. My heart was already celebrating, but I kept a calm expression on my face. Ahem. Well, joining my camp isn't that easy. The 2 minotaurs immediately became anxious. We have already lost our home. As long as you allow us to join your camp, we can do anything. I patted one of them on the shoulder. You don't need to do everything. Everyone in my camp has their own responsibilities. Can you accept that? Hearing my words, the 2 minotaurs finally relaxed. Master, minotaurs are born to love working. We can never stay idle. That's right, Master. Just tell us what needs to be done. Very good. From now on, you are both members of our camp. I nodded calmly on the surface, pretending to be composed. But deep down, I was already sighing with excitement. These minotaurs are way too easy to talk to. Hearing my words, the 2 minotaurs became extremely happy. They quickly lowered their heads and said respectfully, "Thank you, Master. We will definitely work even harder to repay your kindness." At that moment, the system notification suddenly sounded in my mind. System notification. Minotaur tamed. Minotaur tamed. Hearing the system prompt, I looked at the two minotaurs. Since you have become part of our camp, you should have names too. Names? Thank you, master. The two minotaurs looked excited as they stared at me. I thought for a moment before saying, you will be called Nyo Si, and you will be called Nyo Wu. How does that sound? I scratched my head. My naming ability seemed to be getting worse and worse. However, the two minotaurs were surprisingly satisfied. They respectfully nodded. I will be Nyo Si from now on. Great. I'm Nyo Wu. After giving them their names, I turned to Taizhu. Taizhu, take them to get familiar with the camp first. After everything is arranged, bring them to the dining hall for breakfast. This matter was finally settled. Taizhu and the others walked toward the Minotaur nest together. I returned to the main camp, and Little Fox immediately came out to greet me. Master, what happened outside just now? I waved my hand. It was nothing, just a false alarm. We have new companions joining us. Little Xiao, prepare more winter sunflowers when you cook later. Hearing that new members had joined the camp, Little Fox was also very happy. Although she was usually quiet and gentle, she actually enjoyed having more people around. Now that two more companions had joined, the camp felt even more lively. After giving her a few instructions, I returned to the forge. I crafted two more sets of steel tools. They were meant for Nyo Si and Nyo Wu. Enhanced Steel Axe. Collects 1 unit of wood every 1.5 minutes. Enhanced Steel Pickaxe. Collects 1 unit of minerals every 1.5 minutes. After making sure everything was ready, I stored the tools into my inventory. I would hand them over later. Once that was done, I went to the dining hall and started eating breakfast. Not long after, Taizhu and the others walked in while chatting happily. Master, we're here. I waved at them. Come on, sit down and eat breakfast. After all, they were the same race. Although there had been a misunderstanding earlier, Nyo Si and Nyo Wu still seemed a little nervous. They sat carefully and looked at me. Thank you, master. I waved my hand. All right, sit down. From now on, treat this place like your own home. De Zhuang walked over and patted the shoulders of the two new minotaurs. Master treats his own people extremely well. You don't need to be so restrained. Just act like us. Listening to De Zhuang's evaluation of me, Nyo Si and Nyo Wu were confused. They couldn't understand why Taizhu and the others admired me so much. In their eyes, although they had joined my camp, it was still just a master-servant relationship. As long as they had food and shelter, it was already much better than wandering through the wilderness with nowhere to stay. But the way Taizhu and the others looked at me, it was more like they saw me as a companion. There was no barrier of a master-servant relationship at all. At this moment, Taizhu motioned for them to sit down. That was when I noticed a slightly awkward problem. The dining table could no longer fit everyone. There was no way around it. The bodies of minotaurs were simply too large. This table could only fit 4 or 5 minotaurs at most. As a human, my body was much smaller compared to theirs, so I usually never noticed the issue. But now that more people had joined, the problem immediately became obvious. I stood up and tried to make room for everyone, but it was still cramped. I rubbed my chin. According to the effect of the Minotaur nest, there would probably be even more members joining in the future. This space problem has to be solved. I put down my plate and opened the construction system. I plan to upgrade the dining hall. Name, Dining Hall Upgradable. Upgrade requirements: wood X100, stone X100, iron or X20. Upgrade. Without hesitation, I pressed the upgrade button. The entire dining hall was suddenly surrounded by a bright white light. Everyone witnessed the scene. Taizhu and the others were already somewhat used to it. But Nyo Si and Nyo Wu stared with their huge eyes in complete shock. What is happening? Their expressions were full of confusion. The white light slowly faded. The dining hall had expanded visibly. New tables and chairs appeared out of nowhere. Even the table we were sitting at rapidly became wider and larger. At this point, even if twice as many minotaurs came, there would still be enough space. Done. Just a small problem. I casually clapped my hands and sat back down. All right, now everyone can sit comfortably. But at that moment, the system notification suddenly sounded again. Nyo Si loyalty increased to 70%. Nyo Wu loyalty increased to 70%. Oh, why did their loyalty suddenly increase? I glanced at the two minotaurs who were still frozen in shock. Their eyes were exactly the same as Taizhu and the others. They were filled with admiration toward me. In their eyes, what I had just done was nothing short of a miracle. Could it be? Was their master really a god? As they thought about it, my image in their hearts became even greater. At that moment, Little Fox walked in carrying a huge tray of food. She looked like she was struggling under the weight. I quickly stood up and helped her. You shouldn't carry something this heavy next time. Just ask Tai Zhu and the others to help. Little Fox scratched her head. I didn't expect it to be this heavy. It won't happen again. She looked around the dining hall with curiosity. Why does it feel like the dining hall has become much bigger? Although she was confused, Little Fox was already used to my strange abilities. She had seen too many miracles from me. You guys eat first. Call me if there isn't enough food. Niu Si and Niu Wu stared at the mountain-like pile of winter sunflowers in front of them. They swallowed hard. They had not eaten a proper meal for quite some time. Even though they were starving, they still held themselves back. Master should eat first. We are not in a hurry. I quickly waved my hand. I'm already full. You guys eat. As I spoke, I picked up the fish bones on my plate and showed them. Seeing this, the two minotaurs finally couldn't hold themselves back anymore. They grabbed the winter sunflowers in front of them and stuffed them into their mouths. So delicious. It's amazing. The two minotaurs ate desperately. The way they ate was almost pitiful. It was obvious that they had been wandering in the wilderness for a long time without ever having enough food. I simply sat there quietly, waiting for everyone to finish eating. A huge plate of winter sunflowers was quickly emptied. After seeing that everyone had finished their meal, I stood up and looked at Tai Zhu. Tai Zhu, today you guys are still going to the canyon to mine iron ore. Master, don't worry. Leave it to me. Seeing Tai Zhu and the others preparing to leave, Niu Si and Niu Wu immediately stood up as well. They wanted to follow everyone out and work together. I looked at the two bull-headed men and said, You two don't need to go to work today. You haven't had a proper rest for a long time, right? Go get some sleep. It won't be too late to work tomorrow. Hearing my words, Niu Si and Niu Wu were deeply moved. They never expected that their master would actually care about them. The two bulls hurriedly waved their hands and refused. They still wanted to follow Tai Zhu and the others. Master, we're already full. We're completely fine now. But we minotaurs have to work. Otherwise, we won't even be able to sleep. Seeing that the two of them insisted and refused to rest no matter what, I had no choice but to take out the steel axe and steel pickaxe that I had prepared beforehand from my backpack and hand them over. Then take these. Tai Zhu is your big brother. Just follow him. Tai Zhu led everyone. A group of 5 bull-headed men marched toward the canyon in a mighty formation. Watching their backs as they left, I couldn't help but sigh. The number of people in my camp was increasing, with 6 bull-headed men moving together in the wilderness. Even if they encountered a wolf spider, they would probably have the strength to fight back. After Tai Zhu and the others disappeared, I walked out of the house and went to check on the cold potato field. When I arrived, I was pleasantly surprised. Some of the cold potatoes seemed to have already matured. I noticed that some of the leaves had started turning yellow and withering. Meanwhile, the roots had grown extremely thick, with some even exposed slightly above the soil. This was obviously a sign that they were ready to harvest. I quickly took out a small shovel from my system backpack. Carefully, I dug out the mature cold potatoes. A long, irregular-shaped object with a dark purple color slowly emerged from the soil. I picked it up and examined it. The skin of the cold potato was extremely hard. Did this thing freeze into an ice block? At that moment, the system panel appeared. Name: cold potato, edible. Description: a plant that grows in extremely cold regions. The root can be eaten. It has a huge yield, and its hard outer shell protects the flesh from low temperatures. I glanced at the description. So this hard shell was just the outer layer of the cold potato. This really is completely different from the potatoes I knew before. It seems that being able to survive in this hellish environment means it really does have something special. With a thought, I stored the cold potato in my backpack. Then I rolled up my sleeves and started digging. This is the joy of labor. Farming really is the happiest thing. Although only part of them had matured, I still harvested dozens of units of cold potatoes. Xiao Xiao, come take a look. The cold potatoes are ready. Hearing my call, the little fox girl quickly came over. Wow, I've never seen this kind of food before. She immediately reached out and wanted to put one into her mouth. I quickly stopped her. This needs to be cooked before eating. Although you can eat it raw, this shell will probably break your little fangs. Hearing that, the little fox girl reluctantly lowered the cold potato in her hand. Then leave it to me. I have experience roasting things. She carried the cold potatoes and quickly entered the kitchen. I was a little worried and followed her inside. Under Xiao Zhao's operation. Soon, the surface of the cold potatoes changed from dark purple to completely black. They looked like lumps of black coal. Master, can this thing really be eaten? Looking at the terrible appearance, the little fox girl became suspicious. I was also a little uncertain. I picked up the roasted cold potato. When I gently squeezed it, the black shell suddenly cracked. I slowly peeled it open. Inside was pale yellow potato flesh. A rich fragrance immediately rushed out from the crack. There was even some sweet nectar flowing out, and the color looked incredibly appetizing. Whoa, this smells amazing. My appetite instantly exploded, but I still patiently removed all the shell. The complete potato flesh was placed onto a plate. Master, this smells so good. It's a little sweet. The little fox girl also started salivating from the smell. She rarely ate vegetables unless she was starving, but this thing really made her crave it. While it was still hot, I split the cold potato into 2 portions and placed them on separate plates. Xiao Xiao and I each took half to taste first. After blowing on it briefly, I eagerly put it into my mouth. Hoo, too hot, too hot. I rolled it around in my mouth for a while before finally adjusting to the temperature. After carefully tasting it, I swallowed. It's so delicious. Completely different from the potatoes I ate before. The hard shell seems to have locked in all the flavor and moisture. One bite is enough to make people feel touched. At this moment, the emotions in my heart were impossible to describe. I felt like I was about to cry. After coming to this world for so long, today was the first time I had finally eaten a proper staple food. And it was such a delicious one. Eating too much meat every day would eventually become boring. But I had no other choice before. Starting today, everything would be different. Because from now on, cold potatoes would appear on the daily menu. In my original world, staple foods were something that could never be missing. Only eating meat every day was extremely painful. After arriving in this world, I had almost forgotten the happiness brought by carbohydrates. The warm energy provided by the food made my entire body feel comfortable. The little fox girl beside me also loved it. She looked at me excitedly. This is my first time eating something this delicious. It's as good as meat. Of course, don't forget who planted it. Remember to add cold potatoes to tonight's dinner. I placed all the harvested cold potatoes into the storage room. Inside were piles of fish meat, winter sunflowers, and various other scattered foods. Now there was another pile of cold potatoes. The little fox girl happily nodded. Mission guaranteed, master. At this moment, I suddenly noticed something. The ice feather eagle had somehow climbed onto the little fox girl's head. Some light blue feathers had grown on its body. Compared to before, it looked much better. Although it was still a little ugly. It probably won't be ugly for much longer. I reached out and touched its beak. You two stay at home. I'm going out for a while. After putting on my equipment, I prepared to search for the existence of saltpeter. I tapped my head, trying to organize the messy memories inside. After thinking for a while, I vaguely remembered. Saltpeter usually appeared as an associated mineral near certain ores. But exactly which ores? I really couldn't remember clearly. Right now, within the area covered by my map, the only mineral I could probably mine was iron ore. Well, I'll just try my luck. Let's go. I immediately called Xiao He. Turning over, I climbed onto its back and headed toward the canyon. Tai Zhu and the others are still mining iron ore deep inside the canyon. I'll go see where they are first. Very soon, Xiao He carried me to the canyon. Inside the quiet canyon, I could faintly hear the continuous sound of mining. Clang, clang, clang. There was no need to think about it. Tai Zhu and the others were definitely mining deep inside. I planned to search around the places they had overlooked. Maybe I would find something useful. I rode Xiao He toward another direction. The iron ore in this area was not as abundant. However, most of the iron ore here was much higher quality. Moreover, compared to the iron ore deep inside the canyon, the ones here were much larger. I suspected that maybe saltpeter could be found among these iron ores. Although it was only a guess, I still hoped I could gain something. I carefully searched around these iron ore deposits. After searching for a long time, I only found ordinary iron ore. There was no sign of any associated saltpeter ore. I sat down on a stone to rest and complained quietly. I just want a little saltpeter. Why is it so difficult? Looking at a small pile of iron ore not far away, I stood up again and walked over to search. Suddenly, a grayish-white color appeared in front of my eyes. Beside the iron ore, there was actually a small circle of gray-white minerals. This is... I tried using my pickaxe to mine it. Very soon, the system notification sounded. Saltpeter or +1. Hearing this sound, I was instantly delighted. I quickly opened my system backpack to check. Sure enough, a piece of saltpeter was quietly lying inside. I finally mined one. I excitedly waved my hands around, almost wanting to sing loudly. I hurriedly continued swinging my pickaxe. I planned to completely dig out all the saltpeter ore here. It had been a long time since I had worked this hard. I was already slightly out of breath, but my eyes were still filled with motivation. After all, this was saltpeter ore. This was an important material for advancing into the era of firearms. However, I didn't have to work for long. Soon, all the saltpeter ore here had been completely mined. That's all. Although it sounded a little like I was being greedy. Ever since I discovered the iron ore vein, I had never experienced the feeling of not having enough ore to mine. Now, I finally understood. This feeling is terrible. Give me a little more. I continued searching around, but there were still no other discoveries. However, it was still enough to prove my guess. Saltpeter ore really did appear as an associated mineral with other ores, and iron ore was indeed one of them. There was plenty of iron ore here. If I couldn't find more now, I believed I would eventually find more in the future. I climbed back onto Xiaohei's back, then prepared to return home and make some gunpowder first. Just after leaving the canyon, while I was moving my wrists to relax, I suddenly noticed something on a tree not far away. There was actually a treasure chest wrapped tightly with vines. Oh, another good thing. I pulled out my steel axe, then quickly chopped down the tree. The treasure chest fell to the ground along with it. I rubbed my hands together. My imagination immediately started running wild. Could this treasure chest directly give me a bunch of saltpeter? That would be perfect. With full expectations, I opened the treasure chest. Inside were several black packages quietly lying there. I picked one up. Name: Fertilizer *10. Description: increases crop growth speed by 5% within 7 days. Fertilizer. I really got what I needed. Perfect timing. The cold potatoes have already been harvested. Now I can start large-scale planting. I remembered that potatoes were not grown from seeds in my previous world. Instead, every piece of potato flesh could take root and sprout. Then it would grow into a complete potato plant. This explosive reproduction method was the true way potatoes multiplied. However, the first cold potatoes I obtained were indeed planted from seeds. But the power of the system was something no one could understand. Now, if I wanted to plant cold potatoes in large quantities, the most important thing was fertilizer. And now I had obtained 10 portions directly. After strengthening them, I could quickly grow another batch of cold potatoes. Let's go home and try it. I climbed onto Xiaohei again and rushed back toward the camp. I didn't immediately make gunpowder. Instead, I planned to use the fertilizer first. After all, the earlier I planted cold potatoes, the earlier they would mature. I walked to the kitchen storage room and took out some mature cold potatoes. I cut them into different sized pieces. Then I used my pickaxe to loosen the soil. After digging up the ground and burying the potato pieces. After a while, I raised my head and looked. 2 brand new cold potato fields had already been planted. As expected, I'm naturally suited for this kind of work. I clapped my hands. Then I took out the fertilizer and directly used strengthening. Enhanced fertilizer. Description: increases crop growth speed by 50% within 7 days. Looking at the enhanced fertilizer in my hand, I nodded with satisfaction. Then I evenly spread the fertilizer over the soil. Grow quickly, my little potatoes. At this moment, the little fox girl also heard the noise outside. She came out to take a look. Master, did you plant new food again? No, it's still cold potatoes. But from now on, we won't have to worry about running out of them. Great. The little fox girl curiously walked into the newly opened cold potato field and looked around. I didn't say anything more. Instead, I walked to the forging table and opened the system. I checked the recipe for gunpowder. Name: gunpowder. Required materials: saltpeter *1, sulfur or *1, charcoal *1. Finally, I can make it. I was about to press confirm, but the system immediately showed that the materials were insufficient. Only then did I realize I still didn't have charcoal. Fortunately, this problem was easy to solve. I quickly arrived at the room containing the furnace core. Opening the furnace core, I threw 100 units of wood inside. Very soon, the flames inside burned all the wood into charcoal. I took out all the charcoal, then returned to the forging table. Everything was ready. I directly pressed confirm synthesis. The next second, 1 unit of gunpowder appeared inside my backpack. Name: gunpowder. Description: burns rapidly and produces large amounts of gas and heat energy. Finally succeeded. After coming here for so long, I have always been living while being cautious. But now it's different. I now possess the most terrifying weapon humans had created since the beginning of civilization. The equalizer of all beings. Although the double-barreled shotgun was only a beginner-level weapon, it was definitely a perfect start. I couldn't help but want to laugh. But then I suddenly remembered something. I opened my system backpack and checked. After all my hard work, I had only obtained 5 units of saltpeter, and I had just used 1 unit. Now the remaining saltpeter was only enough to barely make 4 more portions of gunpowder. Looks like I'll have to use it carefully in the future. Without hesitation, I converted all the remaining saltpeter into gunpowder. 5 portions of gunpowder appeared inside my backpack. Looking at this pitiful number, I fell into deep thought. Wait, can this gunpowder be strengthened? I started muttering to myself. I took the gunpowder out of my inventory and held it in my hand. Then I activated the enhancement system, only to discover that the gunpowder could actually be enhanced. A flash of surprise appeared in my eyes. Without hesitation, I chose to enhance it. A white light instantly wrapped around the gunpowder. The next second, a system panel appeared in front of me. Name: smokeless powder. Description: produces less smoke when burning and has a higher energy density. I quickly rubbed my eyes and stared at the panel in disbelief. Holy shit. As expected from the system, everything produced by it is top quality. I originally thought the enhanced gunpowder would only increase its power or improve some basic attributes, but I never expected it to directly transform into smokeless powder. In the human world, this was something that required decades of industrial development. But now, I had achieved it in an instant. I opened the crafting panel and checked the requirements for shotgun shells. I wanted to see whether there were any changes after the gunpowder had evolved into smokeless powder. Shotgun shell. Crafting materials: gunpowder 1 or smokeless powder 0.1, iron or *1. Sure enough, smokeless powder can produce greater energy with a much smaller amount. Now 1 unit of smokeless powder can create 10 shotgun shells. A smile appeared on my face. This meant that even if finding nitrate became difficult in the future, I wouldn't need to desperately save every bullet. Without hesitation, I enhanced all the remaining gunpowder. Soon, I had a total of 5 units of smokeless powder in my hands. And these 5 small units of smokeless powder were enough to create 50 shotgun shells. I immediately chose to craft them. A moment later, 50 shotgun shells appeared inside my inventory. Name: shotgun shell *50. Description: ordinary shotgun ammunition, compatible with double-barrel shotgun. I closed the system panel. Time to find somewhere to test it. With ammunition ready, I quickly took the double-barrel shotgun out of my inventory. Looking at the cold metallic barrels reflecting the light, I held the shotgun tightly in my hands. A strange familiar feeling surged through my body. It was as if my muscles already knew how to operate this weapon. I carried the shotgun outside, wanting to test its power. I raised the gun and placed the sight in front of my eyes. I aimed at a tree trunk not far away. This distance should be about right. I didn't hesitate. I pulled the trigger. Boom! At that moment, I felt as if someone had slammed a heavy hammer into my shoulder. However, the memories hidden deep inside my muscles seemed to know how to absorb the recoil. My body instinctively followed the force and adjusted. In an instant, I adapted to the recoil of the shotgun. This feeling, it's like I've been a hunter for 10 years. I looked toward the direction I had fired. Holy shit, I couldn't help but exclaim. The shotgun shell hadn't hit the exact center of the tree, but it had directly shattered a large part of the trunk. The once intact tree now looked like something had taken a huge bite out of it. I stared at the double-barrel shotgun in my hand and whispered, "Truly, a weapon that makes all beings equal." I carefully admired the shotgun. The power of this first test shot was far beyond my expectations. With this thing in my hands, forget ordinary ice wolves. Even an ice-claw demon bear would probably become harmless in front of it. And this is only the power of an ordinary shotgun. Then, holding the shotgun, I activated the enhancement system. A white light flashed. The shotgun enhancement was complete. Name, double-barrel shotgun. Description, a shotgun capable of firing 2 rounds. Effective range 500 meters. Magazine capacity 40 rounds. Fast reload speed. Looking at the enhanced shotgun information, I was speechless. 40 rounds. I only have 50 bullets in total. But the range has increased? The biggest problem I worried about before was the shotgun's limited range. If I forced myself to shoot from a distance, the bullets might not even hit the target. I would have to wait until enemies were right in front of me before I could guarantee accuracy. That came with huge risks. But now, after enhancement, the shotgun's range had increased dramatically. I no longer needed to worry. The enemy could still be unaware of me, and their heads would already be blown apart. I closed the shotgun panel. Then I noticed another change. The appearance of the double-barrel shotgun had also slightly transformed. The barrels seemed longer than before. The overall shape of the weapon looked smoother and more refined. Even the original mechanical sight had become much easier to use. I raised the shotgun again, preparing for another test shot. This time, I aimed at a thick tree about 100 meters away. The moment I pulled the trigger, boom! I had already prepared myself, but I still underestimated the sound of the enhanced shotgun. My ears rang loudly. Even the little fox girl inside the house was startled and rushed outside. "Master, are you okay?" She quickly ran over and checked me anxiously. Only after confirming that I was unharmed did she finally relax. But at this moment, my mind was still buzzing. My ears were ringing so loudly that I could barely hear her. "I'm fine. I'm just testing a new weapon." I guessed what she was worried about and gently patted her head. But then I noticed that the little fox girl was staring blankly ahead. Following her gaze, I turned around. The tree I had aimed at had already fallen to the ground. Only a small piece of the trunk remained standing in the snow. I stared at the shotgun in my hands in disbelief. I couldn't help but sigh. With this range, it's already comparable to a bow, and its power has increased tremendously. The recoil has also been greatly reduced. The overall control is much more stable. With this double-barrel shotgun, I finally gained some confidence in facing the upcoming crisis. The beast tide is coming. I need to prepare properly. This made me think about creating more shotguns. The killing power of a double-barrel shotgun was terrifying, but having only one weapon would not be enough when countless beasts charged forward. I wouldn't even have enough time to aim. If Iron Pillar and the others also had weapons like this, the safety of the camp would increase greatly. I checked my inventory. Unfortunately, I only had 2 pieces of flint left. I opened the system panel and contacted Tian Fei. "Tian Fei, do you have any flint?" Soon, I received his reply. "Boss Su, you came at the perfect time. I just found some. I'll send them over now." As soon as he finished speaking, 5 units of flint appeared in the trading panel. I scratched my head. This guy is really too honest. I then traded some resources back to him. "Thank you, boss. Actually, you didn't need to give me anything. My life was saved by you. If you need anything in the future, just tell me." I smiled. It was just a small favor. I'm going to get busy now. After that, I went to the trading system and exchanged for 5 units of oak wood. Now, all materials needed to craft another double-barrel shotgun were ready. Name, double-barrel shotgun. Description, extremely powerful, but with strong recoil. Magazine capacity 4, slow reload speed. Crafting materials, oak wood 5, steel 5, flint *5. Confirm crafting? I clicked confirm. A moment later, a brand new double-barrel shotgun appeared in my hands. I strengthened the newly crafted double-barrel shotgun once again. Although I currently had enough materials to make only 2 of them, it was still better than having nothing. This shotgun was something I planned to give to Taiju. Humans were complicated creatures. Once they gained power and authority, they would eventually begin scheming against each other. But Minotaurs were different. They only followed orders. That was why I could confidently hand over any weapon I possessed to them, because I knew Taiju and the others would never betray me. Even if they had to risk their lives for me, they would never stab me in the back. After storing the 2 strengthened double-barrel shotguns into my inventory, I returned to the house. What should we eat for lunch today? I feel a little hungry. I looked at the little fox girl. She was teasing the ice feather eagle at the side and casually answered, "Today's lunch is..." Suddenly, her expression changed. "Oh no, my fish." She immediately ran toward the kitchen. A moment later, she walked out with a sad expression while holding a completely burnt fish. Master, I'm sorry. I burned today's lunch. Only then did I understand what happened. She had been preparing grilled fish earlier, but after hearing the gunshots, she rushed outside to check on me. Because she left in a hurry, she completely forgot about the fish cooking over the fire. I rubbed her head and comforted her. It's fine. The fish getting burned is partly my fault too. Just throw this one away and cook another. I walked into the kitchen as well and helped her prepare lunch. After finishing our meal, I opened the World Channel to see what was happening today. Chat channel. Level 5 camps recruiting members. Anyone interested, contact me for coordinates. Looking for teammates. Let's work together to survive the beast tide. No need to hand over extra resources. You can keep your own materials, and we can provide weapons. Let's unite and survive in this world. I scrolled through the messages. The regional channel was almost completely filled with recruitment notices. I still remembered when the coordinate function had first been unlocked. At that time, the World Channel was filled with people looking for teammates. Everyone was simply trying to help each other survive. But now, these recruitment messages gave me a completely different feeling. It was no longer just people gathering together for warmth. It felt more like large alliances and organizations were forming. I couldn't help but wonder, had some groups already recruited hundreds of people? No wonder their development speed was so fast. At first, I thought I wasn't the only one with a strengthening system. While checking some people's profiles, I discovered something interesting. Many people had written their affiliations in their personal introductions. And quite a few survivors in my regional channel belonged to an organization called the Xinyuan Alliance. I sighed. Sure enough, this world had already entered a new stage. It was no longer just about temporary cooperation. The dangers here were everywhere. We had only just survived the blizzard, and now the beast tide was approaching. Someone like me, surviving alone, was probably becoming rarer and rarer. Without my strengthening system, I probably would have been forced to join someone else's group just to survive. But now, I didn't need anyone's protection, and I didn't believe human nature could be trusted so easily in this world. I closed the World Channel. At that moment, I heard heavy footsteps approaching from outside. The number of minotaurs in my camp had increased. Their massive bodies caused every step they took to shake the ground. Even from far away, I could hear them returning. Soon, the door was pushed open. Taizhu placed his tools aside and greeted me with a smile. Mu, Master, we're back. Brother Taizhu, Niu Si and Niu Wu worked very hard today. They helped a lot. After hearing that, Niu Si and Niu Wu scratched their heads awkwardly. Hee, Brother Taizhu is exaggerating. We only did what we could. Seeing that they seemed to get along well, I waved my hand. All right, stop being so polite. In this family, we don't need that. Taizhu, take them to wash their hands first. I prepared something special for you today. When they heard I had prepared something special, all the minotaurs immediately became interested. De Zhuang and Air Zhuang asked curiously, Mu, Master, what is the good thing you prepared? Could it be another new tool? Hearing their words, I couldn't help but laugh. Why do you all only think about work? All right, stop asking questions. Go wash yourselves first. You'll know soon enough. After Taizhu and the others left, I told the little fox girl to prepare dinner first and bring it out later. Soon, the group of minotaurs returned after cleaning themselves. They sat around the table, looking at me with curiosity. Everyone was eager to know what surprise I had prepared. I clapped my hands lightly. Xiao Xiao, bring it out. Hearing my call, the little fox girl walked out of the kitchen carrying a tray. On the tray, which originally held piles of winter sunflowers, there were now several freshly roasted cold sweet potatoes. The minotaurs looked at the roasted potatoes with interest. They instinctively sniffed. The sweet aroma immediately entered their noses, successfully awakening their appetite. Air Zhuang swallowed and reached out to grab one. But the moment his fingers touched the black outer shell, he immediately pulled his hand back. Mu, it's so hot. Seeing this, Taizhu looked at me curiously. Master, what is this thing? Why is it completely black and still so hot? Normally, the minotaurs ate winter sunflowers directly without any preparation. They were not used to processed food. I smiled and picked up a roasted cold sweet potato from the tray. While blowing on it, I slowly peeled away the black shell. The golden flesh inside was revealed. In an instant, the irresistible aroma spread through the room. This is called a cold sweet potato. It is a root vegetable. After roasting, its flavor becomes much richer. It tastes amazing, but be careful because it is very hot. Watch me. I blew on the potato and took a bite. Delicious. Seeing the satisfied expression on my face, Taiju and the others couldn't wait any longer. They picked up the roasted cold sweet potatoes and copied my movements. After finally tasting it, Niusi and Niu Wu's eyes widened in shock. Moo, this is unbelievably delicious. Thank you for your gift, Master. We really didn't make the wrong choice by coming here. This was the first time in their entire cow lives that they had tasted the flavor of roasted frost potatoes. That wonderful taste filled their mouths and completely occupied their minds. Niusi and Niu Wu looked down at the food in their hands, their eyes filled with gratitude as they looked at me. If I hadn't taken them in, they probably would have already starved to death. But now, after joining my camp, they could eat their fill and have a warm place to live. In the hearts of these two minotaurs, I had already become an existence far beyond even a god. Just as they were about to say something else, Taiju beside them couldn't stop praising the food. Moo, this is way too delicious. So this is the taste of roasted frost potatoes? I can finally say that my life was worth living. Moo, that's right, big brother Taiju. This taste is incredible. I feel like winter sunflowers aren't even delicious anymore. At this moment, Taiju and the other minotaurs no longer cared whether the food was hot or not. A whole roasted frost potato disappeared into their mouths within 2 or 3 bites. Their bodies were naturally tough, so the heat didn't bother them much. Under the temptation of the delicious aroma, they stuffed the food into their mouths without hesitation. Seeing that they still looked unsatisfied, I smiled and said, "How is it? I told you it was delicious, right? From now on, you'll have frost potatoes every day." After hearing my words, Taiju and the other minotaurs instantly became excited. "Thank you, Master." Moo. Originally, I wanted to tell them to eat as much as they wanted. Unfortunately, the number of frost potatoes I had right now was still limited. Once they were fully mass-produced in the future, I could let them eat freely. After dinner, everyone went back to their own rooms to rest. I returned to my room and sat there blankly for a while. Soon, I started feeling sleepy. Just as I was about to go to sleep, the system notification suddenly rang. Warning: the beast tide will arrive in 24 hours. Lord, please prepare yourself to resist the beast tide. Beast tide countdown, 2400 hours, 59 and 59 seconds. Time passed this quickly, but my preparations are almost complete. I subconsciously opened the world channel. I wanted to see what condition the other survivors were in. Chat channel. Seriously, guys, I was just about to fall asleep when the system suddenly announced the beast tide countdown. Now I'm completely awake. Is anyone still fighting alone? Do you want to join us? We have walls that can defend against the beast tide. Besides, we have some special weapons. If anyone joins us, we are willing to share them. You have special weapons? If we hadn't built a watchtower with 10 bows, we would probably have to fight the beasts with axes. It seemed that the shortage of weapons was a problem everyone was facing. I also began calculating whether my own defenses could withstand the upcoming beast tide. The walls should be high enough, and there were even thorns on top of them. There shouldn't be any major problems. The most important thing was that I had enough weapons in my hands. 3 double-edged axes, 1 enhanced hunting bow, 10 ordinary bows, and 2 enhanced double-barrel shotguns. That was enough to arm everyone in my camp. But I still couldn't be careless. Thinking about this, I decided to take out the spike traps that I had never used before. These things had been sitting in my inventory for a long time. This beast tide might be the perfect time for them to show their value. With that thought, I immediately opened my system inventory. I planned to craft the spike traps first. I used the spike trap blueprint. Then I opened the crafting station and checked the materials required. Name: spike trap. Description: a defensive trap that can be placed around the camp for defense or hunting. Required materials: wood 10, stone 10, iron, or *2. The materials required for the spike traps were not expensive. I roughly calculated the size of my camp. In the end, I decided to directly craft 50 of them. I would place them first and make more if they weren't enough. After crafting the spike traps, I put on the shelter cloak and walked outside. I arrived beneath the outer wall of the camp. Following the wall, I placed 1 spike trap every 2 meters. To prevent future minotaurs from accidentally stepping on them, I left the area near the camp entrance empty. When the beast tide arrived, I could place them there if needed. After placing all the spike traps, Only 2 or 3 were left. Now that's some accurate calculation. I raised my head and looked at the watchtower I had built earlier. This watchtower will also be extremely useful for defense. Unfortunately, right now, I only had a watchtower without any archers. Taiju and the others were very efficient workers. They could also use double-edged axes in close combat. But that was not a long-term solution. Facing a massive beast tide, trying to fight head-on without enough numbers was simply asking to die. Thinking of this, I decided that tomorrow morning I would train Taiju and the others to use bows. There wasn't much time left. Before the beast tide arrived, they had to develop actual combat ability. Just as I was planning tomorrow's preparations, I suddenly heard a wolf howl coming from the distant forest. I knew this was a sign that the beast tide was approaching. I returned to the house and checked my system inventory. I wanted to see whether my supplies were enough. Damn, having more people really makes everything easier. With the help of enhanced steel axes and pickaxes, 5 Minotaurs had been gathering resources together. In just one single day, the amount of iron ore in my inventory had already surpassed what I could collect in 10 days before. The efficiency of enhanced steel pickaxes is terrifying. Combined with the physical strength of Minotaurs, they are simply perfect laborers. Looking at the resources inside my inventory, I rubbed my head. It was time for another trade. Recently, I hadn't asked the Minotaurs to collect other resources. All of them had been focused on mining iron ore. As for wood and stone, I planned to obtain them through the trading system. I was already very familiar with this process. I listed most of my iron ore in the trading system. Then I exchanged it for wood, stone, and other materials at a 1:10 ratio. After finishing everything, I closed the trading system. I opened the building interface and checked the materials required to upgrade my main base to level 6. Name: Level 5 main base, upgradable. Upgrade requirements: wood 800, stone 1200, iron or *1000. Looking at the system panel in front of me, I began analyzing. These materials aren't actually that much. The only problem is that I'm still lacking some basic resources like wood and stone. Since I had already placed the trades, by tomorrow morning after waking up, I should have enough materials for the upgrade. Thinking about this, I stopped worrying. I closed the system panel and prepared to enter Dreamland. But at that moment, I suddenly noticed a small figure hiding near the doorway. Come in. I smiled helplessly and looked toward the door. Hee. The little fox girl poked her head inside, then quickly crawled into my bed. I was planning to wait until Master fell asleep before sneaking in. Soon, I fell into a deep sleep, and before I knew it, morning had arrived. I was awakened by a commotion coming from outside the house. I opened my eyes, let out a huge yawn, and walked downstairs while still feeling a little groggy. When I opened the door, I saw another Minotaur standing outside the wide-open entrance. At this point, Taiju and the others had already figured out that this newcomer was not an enemy. They were currently chatting with him in a friendly manner. Since that was the case, I was more than happy to let them handle it. I took the cup of water handed to me by the little foxkin and washed while drinking. Soon, it seemed that Taiju and the others had made some progress in their conversation. The new Minotaur patted his chest and said something. The next moment, everyone burst into laughter and walked toward the house together. It looked like Taiju and the others had successfully convinced him. I put down my cup and stepped forward to welcome him warmly. Welcome to my camp. From now on, we are family. The Minotaur stepped forward and grabbed my hand with his huge palm. Mo. Hello, master. I patted his shoulder and said, from now on, your name will be Niu Lu. Follow big brother Taiju and work hard. We lack nothing here. At that moment, the system notification sounded at the perfect time. System notification. Minotaur has been tamed. Loyalty, 50%. I smiled and welcomed all of them inside. Niu Lu, you arrived at the perfect time. It's breakfast time now. Come inside and eat with us. Everyone entered the dining hall. Niu Lu stared at everything in shock. Everything inside this camp felt incredibly new to him, especially when the little foxkin brought out the plates of food. The mountain-like pile of winter sunflowers deeply shocked Niu Lu. He had never seen so much food before. While eating grilled fish, I chatted with Niu Lu for a while. Only then did I learn that Niu Lu had come from the east, a completely different direction from the others. Looks like no matter where they come from, all Minotaurs will be attracted by the Minotaur nest. I nodded, gaining a deeper understanding of the effects of the Minotaur nest. Mo. Master, we're going to work. Yes, master. We're full. Taiju stood up and prepared to leave with the other minotaurs. I stopped them. Not today. I have another task for you. The wolf packs outside have become extremely active. I'm afraid a beast tide will attack tonight. You need to learn how to use bows and arrows. Hearing my words, Taiju froze. Master, there will be a beast tide tonight. His expression immediately became serious as he looked at the other minotaurs. We must protect the camp. Master, I'll teach them how to use battle axes. I shook my head and waved my hand. You already know how to use battle axes. What you need to learn the most right now is this. I took several bows from my system backpack. Then I distributed them among the minotaurs. Bows allow you to attack enemies from a safe distance. Especially against beasts, they have almost no way to deal with arrows. So today, you all need to properly learn how to use them. The minotaurs held the bows with confused expressions. They were all rough and straightforward warriors who had never used such a technical weapon before. However, they also understood that what I said made sense. Understood, master. Taiju spoke first, and the other minotaurs nodded seriously. I walked ahead and led them to an open area behind the camp. There were several trees not far away, so I decided to use them as targets. I wanted Taiju and the others to practice archery. Shooting an arrow was simple, but hitting accurately was not an easy task. I looked at Taiju and said, "See that tree in the distance? Copy my posture." After saying that, I picked up a bow and demonstrated the correct stance for the minotaurs. Taiju nodded in understanding and picked up his bow, imitating me. Once you aim, shoot. Don't hesitate. Taiju nodded, raised the bow, and aimed at the distant tree. However, something unexpected happened. Just as Taiju pulled the bowstring and prepared to fire. Snap! The bowstring broke instantly. Master, I didn't do it on purpose. I slapped my forehead. I forgot about this. With your strength, ordinary bows definitely can't withstand your power. Taiju obviously had not done it intentionally. I could tell that. With no other choice, I took several more bows from my system backpack. I activated the enhancement system and selected the bows. Enhance. A white light immediately surrounded the bows. Name, Enhanced Bow *6. Description, enhanced wooden bows with greatly improved durability and powered. I then handed the enhanced bows to the minotaurs. All right, try again. I looked at Taiju. Are you sure it's okay, master? Taiju was still a little worried. He carefully pulled the string. This time, nothing happened. Feeling the toughness of the bow in his hands, Taiju finally relaxed. He pulled the bowstring with force. After aiming at the target, he released his hand. Whoosh! The arrow flew out and landed 3 meters in front of the tree. Seeing this, I smiled and praised him. Not bad, Taiju. Keep practicing and find the feeling of aiming with a bow. Try again. I stuffed more arrows into the hands of the minotaurs. We have plenty of arrows. Don't worry about wasting them. Taiju nodded with a simple smile and drew the bow again. This time, the arrow accurately struck the tree trunk. Excellent. Taiju, your talent is pretty good. Next, everyone else give it a try. De Zhuang and Air Zhuang also picked up their bows. Curious, they stood beside Taiju and began practicing. Niu Si, Niu Wu, and Niu Lu continued standing nearby, quietly watching. When it came to physical labor, they might not be any worse than Taiju, De Zhuang, and Air Zhuang. But when it involved other skills, their ability to learn and adapt was probably not as strong. However, I was not in a hurry. Letting them learn from each other was enough. After all, talent was like that. Whether it was minotaurs or humans, there were always some who understood immediately and some who were slower. All right, keep practicing here. If you have any problems, ask Taiju. After teaching Taiju, I left them to continue training on their own. I returned to the house, planning to upgrade my base camp. I opened my system backpack. The iron ore I had listed for trade last night should have all been exchanged by now. The resources inside should be enough to upgrade the base camp. Remaining resources: wood, 11292, stone, 24671, iron ore, 1241, coal, 328. Damn, although I had already expected it, I was still surprised when I saw the actual numbers. With these resources, upgrading the base camp is completely possible. I looked at the resources inside my backpack and sighed. However, after the beast tide, I'll have to let Taiju and the others collect more coal. The furnace core is still continuously consuming it. Fortunately, with a stable coal mine, I wasn't too worried. I raised my hand and selected the base camp. Name, Level 5 Base Camp, Upgradable. Upgrade cost, wood asterisk 800, stone asterisk 1200, iron or asterisk 1000. Upgrade, yes/no. As always, I chose yes without hesitation. The next moment, a white light appeared out of nowhere, completely enveloping the entire base camp. I was especially looking forward to seeing what the level 6 base camp would look like. However, I soon noticed a problem. When I first upgraded the small wooden house, the process was completed in the blink of an eye. But as the level of the base camp increased, the time required for upgrades became longer and longer. The last upgrade from level 4 to level 5 took nearly half an hour. This time, it took almost a full hour. Only then was the base camp finally upgraded. Ding. Upgrade successful. Name, Level 6 Base Camp. Ding. New buildings unlocked. Warehouse, training ground. Check the construction system for details. As the white light slowly faded away, I could finally see the complete appearance of the base camp. At first glance, the two-story base camp didn't seem much different from before. But after taking a closer look, I discovered something. The details of the level 6 base camp were definitely worth the upgrade. The previous outer walls were only steel frames embedded with stone blocks. But now, they had transformed into a solid steel fortress. I walked over and knocked on it. Knock, knock. It still sounds completely solid. I thought about it. With this level of defense, even if the outer walls were breached, I could probably still hide inside the base camp and act like an iron turtle. However, from a distance, the appearance of the base camp had clearly become less attractive. The previous color scheme looked rather elegant. But now, from afar, it looked like a dark little castle made of black metal, shining with a cold glow. Of course, I didn't really care about that. I pushed open the door and walked inside. The scene in front of me immediately made my eyes light up. Although the exterior appearance had suffered somewhat, the interior had clearly received a huge upgrade. How should I describe it? Perhaps the best word was modern. The surrounding walls looked like black steel from the outside. But inside the rooms, everything was clean and bright. There were even walls decorated with intricate patterned wallpaper. The dim lighting from before had also become bright and transparent. For a moment, I felt like I had returned to my old home. Upgrading really is amazing. Upgrading is the way to go. I opened the kitchen door, wanting to see what changes had happened there. The kitchen had now become a spacious, open-style kitchen. All kinds of cooking equipment were available. There was even a large grill. Before this, I had worried that if I ever obtained some huge prey, there would be nowhere suitable to cook it. Now, little Foxkin could finally fully display her barbecue cooking skills. The storage room had also been upgraded. It had become much cleaner and more organized. The newly arranged shelves made storing and retrieving supplies much more convenient. I went upstairs to the second floor. The changes there were also enormous. The study room that used to belong to me was now filled with books. It has already upgraded to this level. I was slightly excited. Originally, in this damn place, I had already become used to boring days. Every night when darkness arrived, I would just feel sleepy. I had almost forgotten how I used to entertain myself before. But now, after upgrading the base camp, books had actually appeared in the study. Finally, I had something to pass the endless nights. What kind of books will they be? I hope the system can introduce this world. I walked toward the bookshelf while making a wish in my heart. As I got closer to the bookshelf, my expression gradually changed. The shelves were filled with books, but every single one of them was blank, without any words. I scanned from top to bottom. Finally, at the bottom, I saw several books with actual text. My expression brightened. I knew it. There's no way they would all be blank books. My system isn't that useless. But after crouching down and reading the titles clearly, my expression immediately became strange. The books with content were not anything useful. They included things like Grimm's fairy tales and 1001 Nights. There was even one titled collection of perfect primary school essays. And among them, the only book that seemed somewhat useful was Extreme Cold Survival: How to Survive a Small Blizzard. Are you kidding me? At this moment, I almost wanted to set the bookshelf on fire. But I held myself back. I guessed that the contents of the bookshelf would gradually unlock and update as the base camp continued to upgrade. Among the currently unlocked books, there was at least one related to this world. although I no longer needed to know how to survive a small blizzard. Who knew? Maybe the books on the higher shelves contained secrets or information about this world. After all, I had arrived in this damn place without knowing anything. Even now, my understanding of this world was extremely limited, and this bookshelf gave me a small hope of learning more. I need to hurry up and upgrade. Since there was nothing else worth reading, I obviously wasn't interested in reading primary school essays. I turned around and walked toward my room. The original bedroom had also completely changed. However, overall, it was only an improvement in comfort. There were no new functions. Except, the bed had become larger. At least I no longer had to worry about little foxskin falling off the bed. At this moment, I suddenly remembered the furnace core downstairs. Before the base camp upgrade, the furnace core could not be upgraded. Although it didn't require many resources, it was actually connected to the base camp. I went downstairs and arrived at the furnace core room. I planned to upgrade the furnace core as well. I raised my hand and selected the furnace core. The level 5 furnace core, upgradable. Upgrade materials required. Iron or asterisk 400. Upgrade. Of course, I chose yes. The familiar scene appeared again. A white light completely surrounded the furnace core. Soon, as the light disappeared, the level 6 furnace core finished upgrading. Level 6 furnace core. Continuous consumption. 15 units of wood or 1 coal per hour. Heating range, 40 meters. Ding. New function unlocked. Targeted heating. Description. Within 500 meters outside the furnace core's coverage area, one designated area can be heated. The heating range is half of the furnace core's normal range. Looking at the newly unlocked function of the furnace core, I couldn't help but grin. Now this is good stuff. Previously, my biggest concern was that the furnace core's heating range was limited. The expanded camp area had already exceeded the furnace core's original coverage. Facilities that didn't require people to stay inside during the day were fine. But if more members joined my camp in the future, I would need to build additional dormitories. If those new dormitories couldn't receive heating coverage, it would become a huge problem. In this world, areas outside the furnace core's protection were not places anyone wanted to stay at night. This targeted heating function perfectly solved that problem. No matter where the dormitory was built, I could simply designate the area and provide heating. Perfect. The system really does think ahead. I clapped my hands. At that moment, another system notification sounded. Ding. Enhancement system upgraded. New feature added. Enhance creatures. Once per day. Does not consume basic enhancement attempts. Wait. What? I was starting to doubt my own eyes. I rubbed them and looked at the system panel in front of me again. Only then did I confirm the few words written on it. Enhance creatures? Seriously? Does that mean I can become Captain America? I still remembered watching Captain America on TV back in my old world. That kind of power, far beyond ordinary humans, had always been something I admired. Without thinking too much, I raised my hand and tried to use the enhancement function on myself. But I quickly discovered that the enhancement system couldn't select me. Wait, is this fake? Don't tell me it can't actually be used. I held back the urge to complain and decided to try it on another creature instead. I'm the host of the system, so the system cannot enhance me. Then I'll test it on Taiju first. I closed the system panel and rushed outside. Soon, I arrived in front of Taiju and the other Minotaurs, who were still practicing archery. Taiju, come here for a moment. Whoosh! Another arrow flew through the air. Taiju turned his head and saw me. You guys keep practicing. The master needs me for something. Okay, big brother Taiju. After telling the other Minotaurs to continue training, Taiju put down his bow and walked toward me. Master, what's up? I didn't answer immediately. Instead, I walked up to him and raised my hand, placing it on Taiju's body. With a thought, I activated the enhancement system. System notification. Are you sure you want to enhance this Minotaur? Choose yes/no. I directly selected yes. Taiju, stand still. Don't move. The next second, a golden light flashed and completely surrounded Taiju. This color is different from before. But soon, my expression changed. Taiju suddenly collapsed onto the ground and started rolling around. Moo! Painful cries escaped from him again and again. The golden light blocked my vision, and I couldn't clearly see what was happening inside. I also didn't dare to recklessly interrupt the enhancement process. Fortunately, it didn't last long. Soon, the golden light faded away. Taiju lay on the ground, his eyes unfocused, his body still twitching slightly. Dazhuang and Erzwang hurried over and helped him up. I was also confused about what had happened. Did the enhancement fail? Taizhu, are you okay? I started getting worried. If something happened to him, Taizhu was my most important subordinate. But soon, Taizhu regained consciousness. Master, what just happened? It seemed like he had fainted for a moment. I stepped forward and patted his shoulder. How are you feeling, Taizhu? At this moment, Taizhu looked at everyone around him in confusion. Master, why are you all staring at me? Dazhuang and Erzwang immediately rushed forward and hugged him. They looked like they were about to cry. Big brother Taizhu, I thought you died. Did you get sick or something? No, I feel great. Taizhu looked at his palm and slowly clenched his fist. The sound of his bones cracking echoed out. I instinctively checked Tiezhu's status. Name, Minotaur, High Intelligence. Vitality, 100,000. Attack, 1,500. Agility, 900. Skill, Tough Body. When activated, reduces agility by 90%, reduces damage taken by 90%, lasts 120 seconds, can be used once per day. Loyalty, 100%. Looking at Tiezhu's status information, my mouth slowly opened. Wait, what? 100,000 vitality. And this skill, isn't this way too ridiculous? I looked at Taizhu with obvious envy. If only this enhancement could be applied to me. Unfortunately, the enhancement system still couldn't select me. Looks like I really couldn't become Captain America. But the current Taizhu, he probably wouldn't be much weaker than Captain America anymore. Taizhu, see that tree over there? Go and try punching it. Hearing my command, Taizhu didn't question it. He simply nodded obediently and walked toward the tree. Standing in front of the thick tree trunk, Taizhu moved his fist slightly and stared at the target. For some reason, at that moment, he suddenly felt like he could break this entire tree apart with one punch. Am I imagining things? He tightened his fist and took a deep breath. Then he punched forward with all his strength. Boom. The instant Tiezhu's fist hit the tree, the thick trunk let out a loud explosion. The entire tree shook violently. Snow fell from the branches like a waterfall. Everyone thought that was already an incredible result. But the next second, something completely unexpected happened. The massive tree trunk suddenly snapped in half. It tilted to the side and crashed down. The huge crack on the trunk clearly showed that it had been broken by Tiezhu's punch. When the tree hit the ground, countless pieces of wood scattered into the air. It was terrifying. That thick tree, even with a steel axe, it would have taken a long time to cut down. But Taizhu had done it with nothing but his fist. One punch. The tree was broken. What kind of terrifying strength was this? Taizhu himself stared at his fist in shock. He couldn't understand when his strength had become this powerful. And that wasn't even the most unbelievable part. He could clearly feel that the punch just now still had plenty of power left. This sturdy tree, why did it suddenly feel as fragile as tofu? Among everyone present, only I understood exactly what had happened. I looked at Taizhu with satisfaction. The corners of my mouth couldn't help but rise. With this creature enhancement ability, if I enhanced all of the Minotaurs next, then I would have an entire group of super Minotaurs under my command. These Minotaurs would become my strongest support. While I was imagining the future, Dazhuang, Erzwang, and the other Minotaurs had already lost control of their excitement. They rushed toward Taizhu. Big brother Taizhu, is your hand okay? Dazhuang grabbed Tiezhu's hand and examined it carefully. Not a single injury could be found. Mo, big brother Taizhu, how did you do that? Why have you never told us before? Big brother Taizhu, you were hiding your true strength all along. At this moment, Taizhu had completely become the recognized leader among the Minotaurs. However, even Taizhu himself had no idea why he had suddenly become so strong. He only knew that after I touched him, he experienced a period of unbearable pain. After enduring that pain, his body had become filled with endless strength. Taizhu, Dazhuang, Erzwang, come here for a moment. Hearing my call, Dazhuang and Erzwang walked over. What's wrong, master? I raised my hand and placed it on Dazhuang's body. Then I prepared to use enhancement on him. But just as I was about to activate it, the system notification suddenly sounded. System notification, insufficient enhancement attempts. Unable to enhance. I had already expected that creatures could only be enhanced once per day. But as the enhancement system continues evolving, The number of times should increase eventually, right? I waved my hand at Dazhuang and Erzwang. All right, it's nothing. Go back and practice your archery. After saying that, I turned around and returned to the main base. I planned to build some more spike traps. Last night, I had already placed a circle of them around the walls. But now that the beast tide was about to arrive, I needed to fill in the remaining gaps. I looked up at the sky. It was already getting late. The beast tide probably wouldn't take much longer to arrive. Taizhu, stop practicing. Everyone go back first. It's getting late. Taizhu, take these spike traps and place one every meter near the entrance. Okay, master. Come back quickly after you finish setting them up. After assigning the task, I went straight back into the house. At this time, little Foxkin had already prepared dinner. Inside the brand new kitchen, she had fully displayed her cooking skills. A fresh, delicious fat fish was placed on the table, along with 2 roasted frost potatoes. Master, this new kitchen is amazing. Listening to little Foxkin's praise, I smiled. No matter how good the kitchen equipment is, it still needs your cooking skills, little. This fish looks really good. By the way, has that little guy eaten? Little Foxkin nodded. I just fed it. It's sleeping right now. I sat down and had dinner with little Foxkin. Prepare something for Taizhu and the others. They'll be back soon. Okay, master. After finishing dinner, I opened the construction system. I wanted to see if there was anything else that could be upgraded. The beast tide was coming soon. Anything that could be upgraded had to be completed before then. I opened the construction system and checked the already built structures. I noticed that the forge table and the wall both showed that they could be upgraded. I almost forgot. I slapped my forehead. I had nearly forgotten about upgrading the walls, the most important defensive structure. But now was exactly the time when I needed them. I immediately opened the upgrade interface for the wall. Name, Level 1 wall, upgradable. Upgrade cost, stone 2000, iron or 500. Now it even requires iron ore? But I didn't hesitate. The iron ore in my inventory was still plentiful. I raised my hand and clicked upgrade. A white light appeared and completely enveloped all the walls surrounding my base. Soon, the light disappeared. The wall upgrade was complete. The original stone-built walls. After upgrading, they had completely transformed into steel-framed structures. The stones used for reinforcement in the middle had also become much stronger and more stable. The height of the walls had increased as well, and even the watchtower had been raised along with them. Looking at the towering walls around me, I immediately felt an overwhelming sense of security. If I didn't have the ability to freely enter and leave, these walls would probably be impossible to climb over. I stepped back several meters. On the upgraded wall stood a single, lonely watchtower. Watchtower. I slapped my forehead again. I had almost forgotten about this thing. There was no way I could let several minotaurs squeeze into one watchtower to shoot arrows. I raised my hand and activated the construction system. Then I built 5 more watchtowers, filling the empty positions around the camp walls. This time, everything finally looked much better. No matter which direction enemies came from, there would be a watchtower ready to defend the camp, and the minotaurs wouldn't have to squeeze together while shooting anymore. I let out a sigh of relief and clapped my hands. Finally, everything is almost ready. At that moment, the system notification suddenly sounded. Ding! System notification. Warning! The beast tide will arrive in 1 hour. Lord, please prepare for defense. Countdown until beast tide arrival. 0 hours 59 minutes 59 seconds. Is it finally coming? My adrenaline started rising. After the system notification disappeared, from the silent forest outside the walls came a sudden, powerful wolf howl. Following that first howl, countless wolf howls began echoing throughout the forest. Although I had already guessed that this beast tide would consist of wolves, hearing those howls now confirmed my suspicion. However, the beast tide still needed some time before launching its attack. Thinking of this, I opened the world channel. I wanted to see what kind of crisis everyone else was facing. Chat channel. Only 1 hour left until the beast tide arrives. We're not even prepared yet. The beasts here are already wandering around the edge of our camp. We're finished. Damn. I just stood on the watchtower and looked into the distance. There are several bears sneaking around over there. Can we even fight bears? Let the tame beast men go first. You guys stay behind and shoot arrows. I'm not a zoologist, but bears probably don't eat corpses. You can just lie down and pretend to be dead. If they still bite you, pretend I never said that. After all, I already told you I'm not a zoologist. We don't have bears here, but what the hell is that thing on the treetop? It's as big as a human. Fortunately, there don't seem to be too many beasts here. We should be able to survive. Reading the messages in the World Channel, I realized something. It seemed that everyone was facing a different beast tide. But when I saw someone say that there weren't many beasts, could this be the normal difficulty of a beginner beast tide? Then there probably aren't that many wolves outside my walls either. However, I still doubted whether those messages were reliable, because the wolf howls I heard outside definitely didn't sound like there were only a few beasts. It sounded like there were at least dozens, maybe even hundreds. Thinking of this, I climbed to the second floor and stood by the window. I looked toward the distant forest, but with just one glance, my expression suddenly changed, because at some point, countless dark green glowing dots had appeared inside the forest. Those glowing eyes were densely packed together. They flickered between the trees like countless fireflies. This is what you call a small beast tide. At first glance, there were at least 100 ice-field wolves. I took a deep breath. Could it be because my territory was larger, so it attracted more beasts? I didn't think about that anymore. The most important thing now was surviving the beast tide outside my door. I went downstairs to the forge table and opened the crafting interface. Then I created 500 units of arrows. Just as I walked into the living room, I saw Taiju and the other minotaurs sitting around the table, chatting and laughing. They looked completely unaffected by the endless wolf howls outside. These minotaurs really had big hearts. Meanwhile, little Foxkin was sitting beside the furnace core, hugging the ice feather eagle and looking worried. I took out the arrows I had just crafted and handed them to Taiju. Taiju, take these arrows and distribute them to everyone. The beast tide is coming. Get ready. I raised my voice with a serious expression. Split up and head to the watchtowers around the camp. Stay alert and watch for any movement. Hearing my order, Taiju took the arrows from me and nodded. Roar. Don't worry, master. We understand. I then turned my attention to Niolu. Niolu, you don't know how to use a bow, so I won't force you. I'll give you another mission that suits you better. How about it? The moment Niolu heard that I was assigning him a special task, his eyes immediately lit up with excitement. Yes, master. I reached into my system inventory and pulled out a double-edged axe, handing it to him. Take this axe. Your mission is to guard the camp entrance. Don't let any beasts break through and enter the base. This mission is extremely dangerous. Are you willing to accept it? Niolu grabbed the axe tightly and raised it above his head. Roar. Leave it to me, master. Good. Everyone else, get to the watchtowers and prepare. Taiju, you stay with me and defend this direction. Everyone immediately moved into position. I climbed onto the watchtower with Taiju and carefully watched the distant forest. As the countdown continued to approach 0, the snowfield wolves became increasingly restless. Several wolves slowly emerged from the forest, but when they reached the boundary between the forest and my territory, they suddenly stopped. It was as if there was an invisible barrier preventing them from advancing. I tightly gripped the enhanced double-barrel shotgun in my hands and stared coldly at the wolf pack in the distance. Finally, the countdown reached 0. The system notification sounded. Warning! The beast tide has arrived. As the notification disappeared, the snowfield wolves inside the forest began releasing one howl after another, piercing through the night sky. Awoo! I had never heard such a terrifying howl before. In this freezing, silent night, it sounded like a death bell ringing in the darkness. The pure killing intent coming from the snowfield wolves made my heart tremble. Even though I had already prepared everything, I still couldn't help feeling nervous. It wasn't just me. Even Taiju and the other minotaurs were showing signs of anxiety. They were native creatures of this world, and they had personally experienced how terrifying snowfield wolves could be. But this time, this was an even more violent wolf pack. If they were still living in their old tribe, they would have no choice but to flee. But now, their master, me, had not taken a single step back. As my strongest supporters, they couldn't abandon me. All they could rely on now were the bows in their hands and the sturdy walls surrounding the camp. At that moment, the terrifying wolf howl suddenly stopped. Then, every snowfield wolf in the forest began charging. Boom, boom, boom. Hundreds of snowfield wolves rushed out from the darkness. Their white fur reflected under the moonlight, creating an overwhelming scene like an avalanche sweeping across the frozen land. But that wasn't the only thing that shocked me. I noticed that every single snowfield wolf was enormous. Each one was as big as a young calf. And the wolf leading the pack, the Wolf King. Its body was even larger, nearly the size of a full-grown cow. Its massive claws slammed into the ground with every step, throwing snow and dirt into the air. Standing on the watchtower, I could even feel the ground shaking beneath my feet. But so what? They were only wolves. They might be terrifying beasts, but they could still be defeated. When facing monsters, you had to become more ruthless than the monsters themselves. Otherwise, the one who hesitated would be the first to die. I raised my enhanced shotgun and shouted, "They're coming. Prepare for battle. Protect our home." My roar instantly ignited the fighting spirit of Tai Zhu and the other Minotaurs. Roar, "Protect, Master. Protect our home." The Minotaurs all drew their bows and prepared to fire. When the wolves entered firing range, I shouted, "Fire!" Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. A wave of arrows flew through the air. It couldn't be called a true arrow storm, but the sight of countless arrows falling was still intimidating. Several arrows accurately struck the front lines of the wolf pack. The snowfield wolves let out painful cries. Bright red blood flowed from their bodies, staining their white fur. But unfortunately, although the scene looked impressive, the damage caused by ordinary arrows was limited. Against these powerful snowfield wolves, the arrows couldn't even slow them down. Damn it, I cursed under my breath. I raised my enhanced double-barrel shotgun and aimed directly at the Wolf King's forehead. As long as I could kill the leader, the entire wolf pack's momentum would definitely weaken. Bang! The gunshot exploded through the night. The bullet tore through the air and shot toward the Wolf King at incredible speed. But what I never expected was, the Wolf King's reaction speed was terrifying. The moment it sensed the threat to its life, its body suddenly moved. Like a ghost, it instantly dodged the incoming bullet. However, the bullet still grazed its ear and struck the paw of another snowfield wolf behind it. The terrifying impact of the enhanced shotgun instantly shattered the wolf's paw. Losing one leg, the wolf collapsed heavily onto the ground. The wolves rushing behind it were also knocked down after tripping over its body. The Wolf King that had narrowly escaped the attack saw the bloody scene and became completely enraged. But it understood. If it hadn't dodged in time, the one lying in the blood would have been itself. The Wolf King let out an angry howl, and at that exact moment, an arrow descended from above and struck its body. But to my surprise, the Wolf King's skin was far tougher than I imagined. Although the arrow hit its body, not a single drop of blood appeared. It hadn't even pierced the skin. The attack had caused no damage. Then I saw the wolves behind it rush forward. Several wolves helped remove the arrow stuck on the Wolf King before continuing their charge toward my camp. Seeing this, I couldn't help but feel curious. Could it be that the reason these wolves were so aggressive was because they were being led by the Wolf King? But now wasn't the time to study them. The wolf pack was getting closer and closer. I shouted, "Fire freely. Don't let them get close." After giving the order, I immediately fired again. The Minotaurs followed my command and pulled their bows repeatedly. Their arms were almost exhausted from firing. But the problem remained. Apart from my enhanced double-barrel shotgun, which could kill one snowfield wolf with a single shot, Tai Zhu and the others needed several arrows to bring down just one wolf. Even when every arrow hit its target, many shots failed to hit vital areas. The wolves were simply too durable. But right now, there was no time to worry about that. Another gunshot rang out. I quickly pulled out more ammunition and began reloading. I started to feel a little anxious. Although I had the enhanced double-barrel shotgun in my hands, this powerful weapon was steadily reducing the number of snowfield wolves. But their morale hadn't dropped at all. Instead, they became even more aggressive, charging forward with the determination to achieve their goal no matter the cost. Was it really because of that Wolf King? After reloading the shotgun, I raised it again and aimed at the Wolf King. But after experiencing my previous attacks, the Wolf King had become even more cautious. It kept changing its position and adjusting its movements, never giving me a clear chance to aim. I fired 2 or 3 shots in a row, but not a single bullet hit the Wolf King. And during that brief opening, the front line of the snowfield wolves had already rushed into the blind spot beneath the walls. I quickly leaned out from the watchtower. Holding my shotgun, I searched for their location. But no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't find an angle to shoot. Roar, "This is bad, Master." We can't aim at them anymore. What do we do now? Hearing the wolf howls coming from just outside the walls, Niu Lu tightened his grip on his double-edged axe, ready to fight at any moment. But I had no intention of giving up. I shouted toward Tai Zhu and the others. If we can't see the wolves in the blind spot beneath the walls, then shoot the ones behind them. Yes, master. Following my command, Tai Zhu and the other minotaurs immediately changed their targets. They turned their bows toward the wolves that had not yet reached the base and began firing continuously. Meanwhile, the snowfield wolves that had already reached the blind spot beneath the walls began attacking the defenses directly. They slammed their bodies against the walls, trying to break them down. I could clearly see the durability of the walls slowly decreasing. Name: Level 2 Wall. Durability: 997/1000. Although these snowfield wolves probably couldn't destroy my upgraded walls easily, even an elephant could be worn down by ants. If this continued, one attack after another, the 1000 durability points would eventually run out. My eyes moved toward the thorn vines I had placed on top of the walls. After the wall upgrade, those sharp thorn vines had also evolved. They now looked almost like reinforced wire fences. They had become an excellent defensive barrier. The snowfield wolves that leaped toward the walls were all cut by the sharp thorns. Fresh blood covered their white fur. The towering walls were almost dyed red. But even so, they refused to stop. At that moment, a snowfield wolf suddenly jumped high into the air. When it landed, it accidentally triggered one of my spike traps. Click! The trap activated instantly. Countless sharp spikes erupted from the ground. In an instant, they pierced through the wolf's body, turning it into a bloodied mess. But that wasn't the end. The other snowfield wolves near the wall saw their companion's tragic death and instinctively stepped backward. Unfortunately, their retreat triggered another series of spike traps that I had placed around the walls. In an instant, the ground became a field of deadly spikes. Dozens of spikes erupted from below, piercing more than 10 snowfield wolves at once. The front lines suffered devastating losses. The Wolf King, which had been commanding the pack from behind, noticed the bloody scene near the walls. Seeing so many of its companions fall, its eyes widened with rage. It stared at me standing on the watchtower. The hatred in its eyes was almost enough to tear me apart. But it knew very clearly, even if it wanted to kill me right now, it couldn't reach me. The only thing it needed to do was stop its own pack members and make them avoid the traps. Awu! The Wolf King released another command. The snowfield wolves approaching the walls immediately became extremely cautious. They carefully watched the ground while moving forward. And just like that, they avoided my spike traps. I watched everything happen. The spike traps are useless now. I have to deal with that Wolf King quickly. The Wolf King led the remaining wolves and charged toward my walls again. Tai Zhu, the other minotaurs, and I did everything we could to stop them. But we still couldn't slow down their advance. Almost all of the remaining wolves were now hidden beneath the walls. No matter what we tried, we couldn't effectively attack them. Damn it! I cursed and raised my enhanced shotgun. I aimed at one of the spike traps. My plan was simple. Use the shotgun blast to destroy the trap. The shockwave might trigger nearby traps and create another opening. But I had underestimated the Wolf King. This creature's intelligence was terrifying. It constantly directed its pack. It guided them around our attacks and forced them to keep smashing into the walls. However, every collision was blocked by the thorn vines. By now, the thorn vines were completely covered in blood. The disgusting smell of blood filled the air. Some snowfield wolves finally couldn't endure the constant injuries. They began retreating, unwilling to continue attacking. For me, this was a good sign. The durability of the walls would decrease more slowly. It gave me more time to think of a solution. At that moment, the minotaurs from the other watchtowers climbed down. They gathered beneath my tower. Master, we can't do anything to these snowfield wolves from the watchtowers. What should we do next? Should we fight them directly? De Zhuang immediately objected. They still have at least 40 or 50 wolves. We only have 7 people. That means each of us would have to kill. Anyway, we'd have to deal with many wolves at once. And more importantly, they still have that Wolf King. How are you going to deal with it? De Zhuang and Air Zhuang couldn't make a decision. At that moment, Tai Zhu jumped down from another watchtower. What are you arguing about? Do you not understand the situation we're in? This isn't the time to fight over small things. Just then, the Wolf King let out another howl. The entire wolf pack ignored their injuries and began smashing into the walls again. I looked at the wall durability. 1. Only half remained. No. If this continued, the walls would collapse sooner or later. I jumped down from the watchtower and looked at Tai Zhu and the others. Tai Zhu, replace your weapons. We're going outside. We're going to fight them head-on. Hearing my words, Tai Zhu and the other Minotaurs froze. They never expected me to make such a decision. Was I planning something else? No. There were still dozens of snowfield wolves outside. What possible strategy could work? Not only that, Tai Zhu, you take the others and open the gate. We're going out to fight. I pulled several double-edged battle axes from my inventory and handed them to the Minotaurs. Work together. Don't get injured. I'll stay behind you.